Here we go. All right, welcome back to another episode of I've Known You Too Long. It has been a while. It's been too long since we've done an episode. But we're back. We're going to keep going. We're going to get started again. My guest today is a good friend. It's someone I've known for a long time. It's someone I haven't seen for a long time. This guy was drummer extraordinaire for years in the Seattle scene. He was in 1007. He was in Dempsey. He was in Balance of the World. Later, he was in St. James Infirmary and Time in Malta. I know I'm missing some. He played guitar for a brief time in Die Down with me. I'm getting the nod. I'm remembering it correctly. My guest today is KINDER. And if that's confusing to some of you, it's because it's Eric Kinder, but like Prince, he now goes just by a single name, his last name. KINDER, how you doing, buddy?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be recording again. It's been a long time since I've done a podcast episode. And I'm happy you're here.
This is my first time.
This is your first time doing a podcast
Yes.
episode.
So my memory sucks really bad too. So I brought my good buddy Soto.
Right.
What's up?
We have it's either an additional guest or an additional host. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be. We'll just let it work out however it's going to go.
Yeah.
Soto Rebelos. He's had his own episode on this show already, and he's back again.
Yeah. What's going on?
How are you? Lean in. Introduce yourself.
I'm just busy eating crazy bread.
You brought 2 bags of crazy bread.
We both like crazy bread.
It's
and
true.
I didn't know you had already had some today.
True story. Soto shows up at the door. It's like my dream. I open the door. There's a beautiful person holding 2 bags of crazy bread. You know, you've had this dream before.
It's delicious.
But I had already eaten an entire order of crazy bread and sauce by myself just an hour ago. And, you know, what are you going to do? That's life.
That shows me for trying to surprise somebody.
It was very nice of you, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good job.
I will link the Doug Lawless proper way to eat crazy bread video down below so people will understand my obsession with crazy bread.
It's a good video. It's a good watch.
Thank you for saying so.
It's a very important watch for this new generation of authentic Italian food.
Okay, but we are here today to talk to Eric Kinder. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We are here today to talk to KINDER. And KINDER, this is the way I start these. I've known you too long.
It's been 25 years, I would say, 26 years.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's about right. If it's 2016, it's about 26 years.
Yeah.
But I don't know when we first met. I don't remember the exact first meeting, and you might. And that's the first thing we do is we try to figure out exactly when we met. Then I go back from there, and I try to figure out what it is about you. How did you come to a place where we would be together at that point where we met? You know, in the same scene. Most everyone I know is from the music scene.
Yeah.
So what about you brought you into that orbit? And then once we figure that out, then we go forward and talk about basically everything that's happened to us since.
Okay.
So when did we meet?
I have no idea. I don't remember the exact time, but it would have been probably at the party hall.
At the party hall. That's
Either-
a lot of them. A lot of the interviews I do on here, in the early days, it revolves around the party hall.
It would be Washington Hall or Party Hall.
I never saw a show at Washington Hall.
Okay, then it's not the Washington Hall.
What band were you in before 1007?
Face First.
Oh, you were in Face First. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I was in Face First.
The whole time? With Soto?
Yeah, we started the band with James and another friend of ours named Steve Ricky.
Okay.
And then Kirby joined later. And then we pretty much, these guys were always my best friends, you know. So every band I was in, I was like, if someone gets kicked out or drops dead, whatever happens, I'm getting Soto in the band, I'm getting Kirby in the band, or I'm starting a band with them. So
Okay, so it was Face First then. Because before you were in 1007, I had seen Face First. Like I saw Face First and Hated Youth at the Ballard Firehouse. So you played that show, I assume.
yeah.
Okay, that means you're in the photos then. I've got some photos from that.
Yeah.
August 24th, 1990.
That was August 24th, 1990?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 26 years
Did
ago.
you come up to any shows in Bellingham?
Just the ones that we played.
You didn't, but you didn't come up to see any hardcore shows?
No,
in
we went up to Bellingham to see Shelter.
Yeah.
We didn't play. We went up in my
saw
brother's
them.
Renault car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You saw Shelter in the garage?
Yeah.
In Bill's garage, yeah.
Okay.
I definitely saw shows there. I remember Kelly.
Yeah, we definitely met there. Well, because Bill's garage was over by the mall on the
okay.
north side of town, and Kelly's garage was up by the lake. And by the time the shows were in Kelly's garage, I already knew who you were.
Okay.
For sure. So I'm going to say it's face first. And
Yeah.
it is probably the party hall. It's probably a face first show at the party hall where we first met. Because when Val and I came down to see that show with Hated Youth, because that was the same.
Hateful Youth.
Sorry, did I say hated before?
Yeah.
God, it's been a little while. People, Hateful Youth.
The youth are hated. I mean,
You know, Ron's band, like.
Well, so I remember our first show it was supposed to be Judge and Inside Out.
yeah.
It wasn't the Ballard Firehouse. It was
Party Hall.
And it was supposed to be Judge, Inside Out. It was Undertow's first show.
As Undertow.
Oh, when they came back from being refused?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we played first.
All right.
So,
And that was the show where neither of those bands showed?
yeah, it was just Undertow and
Sure
us,
it wasn't
I believe.
Judge and Chain of Strength? Because Inside Out did actually come.
No, it was Judge and Inside Out.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was us.
That would have been epic.
It was
a
us.
really big deal.
Galleon's Lap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Galleon's Lap played too. They were added on with us.
Wait, so it was Galleon's Lap, and it was that first Undertow. It was Joel was still singing.
Yeah.
But it was that first time they were playing as Undertow and Not Refuse.
Yeah.
But I was definitely at that show. So
was
we could
Pettibone.
call that night. That could
Pettibone
be-
on bass.
Yep. I've got photos from that show.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was there. That would be the night we met, probably.
Yeah.
Because most likely we were hanging in the same circle.
Yeah.
At the very least, from that point forward, we were just in the same place all the time.
Yeah.
And I felt like by the time you were playing drums in 1007, I already knew who you were. You know? So we call it that. That's good enough.
Yeah.
That's better than some of what we get to on this show.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? Where did you come from?
Well, so we all grew up in Mount Lake Terrace, Briar, the North End.
Were you born in this area?
I was born in Portland.
You were born in Portland. How long did you live down there?
Till I was 9, and then we moved to Seattle. And then the reason I'm in music and all that, my brothers definitely got me into music. But I remember this guy used to make fun of me like crazy.
Soto used to make fun of you.
Because I was
At school?
Yeah, because I was kind of a hesher.
Okay, so you move. Let's do this. Let's start in Portland.
Okay.
Because I always want to know about details about people. So you left when you were 9?
Yeah.
So you left in, what, the 4th grade?
Yeah, I think I came to, and I actually went to school with Kirby. We were in grade school together, and I think I started.
You went to school with Kirby from up here.
Yeah.
He was in HIMSA.
Yeah.
And in Balance the World with you.
Yeah.
But let's stay in Portland for right now.
Okay.
He didn't go to school with you in Portland.
No, when I came up, I think I was either in 4th or 5th grade.
Okay.
And I remember he was one of my classmates.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you guys just stayed friends all the way through?
We weren't friends. I think he thought I was kind of a dick.
Were you?
I probably was. And I probably still am, and I apologize in advance. But, yeah, I remember I knew him because we lived really, I think we rode the same bus to school. So.
All right. I'm gonna stay back from
Okay.
that. I want to get a sense about Portland before you moved, because for me, like the idea that someone was uprooted from their school and moved in the 4th grade, like that's a big event that can totally change your life, right? You left all your friends behind. So what was school like for you up to that point? What was grade school like for you?
It sucked. I went to parochial school.
What's
Parochial school is like Catholic school.
okay?
So I used to get the
I'm dumb.
rulers.
I just went to. Well, nuns beat you with rulers?
Yeah, because I probably would be an ADHD baby
Oh, you mean if you were a kid now?
today. Yeah, I'd be on Ritalin.
Wouldn't we all?
So I had massive amounts of energy and just would go crazy all day and had a hard time focusing.
A child having a hard time focusing.
So, and I actually, this is probably the funnest childhood story I have, is getting in trouble because my homework wasn't getting turned in. I think in 2nd or 3rd grade.
You had homework? I didn't have homework until
Well,
junior high.
not homework, I guess assignments.
Okay.
And my dad worked in the shipyards in Portland, and he worked the morning shift, so he got off at 2:30. We lived half a block from the school, so he was like, oh, this kid's got a problem, I'm going to solve it. So he would show up to school every day and stand in the doorway during class the last 15 minutes of the day, and I was like, oh, fuck. Can I swear?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was like, fucking motherfucker is going to show up at school, which he did. And it was just so every day after everybody left, I stayed over and he went through my desk with me and cleaned it up. And it only took like 4 days. And I was like, I'm good. So I'm like, if you...
He set you on the straight and narrow right there.
Yeah, he did not mess around. He was a tough man, so...
So do you see that story as being something that you then carried with you? Did that affect the way you approached other things in your life?
Well, I mean, if you've ever come to my house, you see, I mean, there's never dishes in the sink.
I know.
I'm a super neat freak.
I remember from when you lived with, you lived for a brief time on the hill with Carrie Whitney.
Yes.
And
I lived with Soto too.
And you lived with Soto at that time?
I only lived with Carrie for like 6 weeks.
Right. But I remember it was because you kind of moved into a situation and then it was like, well, Eric's much cleaner than this situation or much more particular about things. And there were a lot of people kind of coming through there. I think it drove you a little crazy.
Yeah. There was someone that would come take a shower because he didn't want to take a shower at a dorm because it was a communal shower. And
I remember.
I'm like, you're really? But it's all good. You know, anytime you want to come use my shower, it's all good,
You're
brother.
cool with it now.
Yeah. I definitely know.
I remember that story. It was so awesome.
I'm very particular. A lot of people don't understand me or get me. So I don't have, the friends that I have are lifelong friends.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of a weirdo. So
that's kind of what we get to on this podcast. But that's a huge thing though. Like if you can trace back the reason why you react a certain way to cleanliness or order in your life to your father coming to school and standing in the doorway and, making you go through the desk, that's big. I think that's probably more than a lot of people understand about why they react the way they do to things.
Yeah. It was like public shaming. It was like, oh my God, all these kids, they know that's my dad. And my dad was huge. And
how old were you when this happened? What grade?
I think second grade. Or third grade.
Because second grade is probably the one where that's the first time when you can really get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because first grade, you're still just a little crazy person.
But and we were maniacs in life in general. I had 2 older brothers that were much older and much bigger than me that used to beat the shit out of me. And, we had a good time. Were you big compared to other kids at school? Yeah.
To kids your age. So and then you had older, bigger kids messing with you all the time. So you probably could totally take care of yourself in school.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I ever had a problem. I never really got in one fight, I think.
When you were in grade school before you came?
No, it was in high school when I was 13.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
That's important. That will probably be very important. But you didn't fight in grade school?
No.
What about girls?
I remember I had a crush on my next door neighbor.
You had a crush on your next door neighbor when you were in grade school?
Yeah. So they were right across the street from us, and then Brett Van Horn has
been on this podcast and mentioned you in that. Yeah. We figured out, I had never known this, that you guys I grew up with Brett in Bellingham, high school, junior high and high school, but you grew up with him in grade school age down in Portland.
Yeah, and we have to have a conversation with him because I have no idea when I figured out that I knew him from my neighborhood in the punk rock world. But yeah, he was my neighbor. I think he was more friends with my brother. But we, when you're in a neighborhood, you play with everybody and you have a good time. And
yeah.
But yeah, I was a little weirdo.
Okay, so I was asking though. You said you had a crush on the neighbor girl.
Yeah.
But you didn't have like girlfriends in school.
No.
I always wonder because different people, that starts at different times, you know, and sometimes that can be the key to their story too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it was funny. Her name is Erica. So it's Eric and Erica.
Did that have any influence on you for why you had a crush on her?
No, not at all.
You weren't associating the name with your name or something?
No, I think we were the exact same age, and you're figuring out stuff in life.
Sure. No, well, I went to grade school with Bill Baker.
Yeah.
And there were 2 girls whose last name was Baker. And so he always acted like he had a crush on them, even though I think it just drove them crazy.
Of course.
But he would always say like, one wouldn't have to change her name and the other one would just have to change one letter or something. Oh. He was like a total lunatic. I don't know if he remembers that story.
Young polygamy.
Well, he didn't. He probably understood that, but he probably knew we were all too dumb if he even brought that up, because Bill was kind of advanced.
Yeah.
But no, he never talked about both at the same time.
Yeah.
That would have been bold for a fourth grader.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move you out of Portland, is there anything else you remember about those years that you think is important? Did you listen to music back then? Were you
Yeah. So my older brother Tim is 11 years older than me, and we had this big console stereo And I just remember in the summertime, he played bass and he had a big Ampeg SVT, 8-speaker cabinet, and he'd fucking open the front door and turn the stereo on full blast and turn his amp up. So you'd be 3 blocks away and you could hear him playing.
So the neighbors loved him.
Yeah, so I grew up on Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix.
You grew up on him playing those or playing along to it?
Both.
Okay.
So, I mean, I read the autobiography of Jim Morrison, No One Here Gets Out Alive, probably when I was like 7.
Oh, wow.
Or 8. And then I have a cousin, and he was into music. He was kind of ahead of his time, I think. Like, he's always been pretty good, like he knows what's happening in the world. He speaks 4 or 5 languages. He's a smart dude, too. And he was into the Talking Heads and AC/DC, who was like the first love of my life ever.
AC/DC was your first?
Yeah. Bon Scott. After Bon Scott, AC/DC sucks. Metallica should have broken up after Cliff Burton died. There's certain things that are atrocities that just continue. But AC/DC was my first love, definitely.
And how old do you think when you first heard AC/DC?
Oh, probably like 5 or 6.
Okay. Like given that you and I are pretty close in age, that was still close to their beginning, wasn't it?
Well, I was born in 74 and Jailbreak came out in 74.
Oh, okay. All right.
So they've been around.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah, and they a lot of people don't know this, but they had a singer before Bon Scott that they actually did stuff with. I don't think they put out any records. But so AC/DC's been a band for a really long time.
Right.
Oh, and then so the other thing, and I think this is how I got into being a drummer, was my mom used to play Johnny Mathis at Christmas, and I was always the little drummer boy.
So you were the little drummer boy?
Yeah, and she would say that, "Are you going to be my little drummer boy?" And I'd be like, "Fuck yeah." Like 4 years old, obviously not using that language yet. But I would play that song. I'm kind of a weirdo. Like I will play a song over and over again if I really like it. So I'd play that song and get the the pots and pans out. And
so you were drumming on pots and pans to your mom's Johnny Mathis.
Yeah.
When you were how, 4 years old?
Yeah, I was young.
All right. That makes some sense.
Yeah. And I didn't start on a drum kit. I think my parents got us, this is later when we moved to Seattle, but they bought us each a guitar for Christmas. And someone broke mine, which I was super pissed about.
Do you know who?
I think it was my brother Kelly.
Okay.
But, when you're that age, you have no idea. But they're like, well, we've already got a bass player and we've got a guitar player. You need to play drums. And I was like, okay. So I had all these industrial buckets that my dad probably had from work or whatever, and I put different amounts of newspaper in them to make them sound different. And I had a real trash can lid for my cymbal, and I started to play.
And how old were you?
11 or 12.
11 or 12.
Because I bought my first drum set at 13.
Okay.
So
this is after you moved to Seattle.
Yes.
Okay. That wasn't a Portland story.
No.
But so you had a trash can and bucket drum set.
Yeah.
And you would alter the sounds of the buckets by putting
different amounts of newspaper.
Which awesome.
Was ubiquitous for me because I was a paper boy. So I had as much paper as
you just used the word ubiquitous like people know what that is.
I like to think,
which is awesome.
Yeah. I like to think somebody knows that word besides Soto.
Yeah, just try to throw in the word atavistic while we're at it, just so people could go running off to the dictionary while they're listening.
I haven't heard. Can you spell that? Use it in a sentence.
Atavistic?
I'm just kidding.
I can do all those things, but I only know it because Hunter Thompson liked that word a lot.
Oh, okay.
And it's a hard one
Thank
to
God
understand.
for bad religion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
supposed
right.
to see what I did there? Thank God for bad religion.
Yes.
You did a good job. I knew there was a reason you were here today.
Besides the crazy bread.
And it wasn't just the crazy bread, which is actually starting to look good. Okay. All right, so let's move you then.
Okay.
Let's move. So you get uprooted and moved to Seattle from Portland. Did your whole family come?
No. So my mom is one of 9 children. So all our family was there or in Wisconsin. So it was weird, and it took a little while. But fuck, when you're a kid, you're young and resilient, and nothing hurts. I found new friends right away.
Okay.
And I was interested in other shit. I was on my bicycle 24 hours a day. Never had a curfew.
Okay.
As long as I didn't get in trouble, I was fine.
9 years old. You're in the Seattle area now.
Yeah.
Were you in Seattle or did you start up north? Because Mount Lake Terrace is like 10 miles.
17.
Mount Lake Terrace is 17 miles north of Seattle?
I believe. North of the city.
maybe 14.
Whatever.
Anyway, yeah.
Hey, people.
Creek.
So Mountain Lake Terrace is a ways outside of Seattle to the north on I-5.
Suburbs.
The suburbs. And were you in Seattle proper, or were you up here?
No, we moved from downtown. We lived in Beaverton, Oregon, and we moved from Beaverton to Mountain Lake Terrace.
Okay. But so that makes a little more sense that because it's a little more rural and out there.
Yeah.
The idea that you'd let a kid go off on his bike.
Yeah.
I would have been impressed if you were just right in Seattle and 9 years old. And just take off on your bike. Go do whatever you want. Although, given that this is what, the early 80s we're talking about here?
Yeah, 84.
Yeah. I mean,
My mom actually let me...
I did that sort of thing. So.
I went to my first concert when I was 9 years old, and it was Kiss and Queensryche.
Well, this is one of the questions.
Yeah.
Kiss and Queensryche? Where?
I don't know. Somewhere.
Seattle?
Yeah, in Seattle.
Okay.
But because my brother got to go, who was...
Queensryche was the local band opening for Kiss?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my brother got to go, which I was like, well, fuck, if he gets to go, I get to go. So she let me, and that was cool. Because I think I did like Kiss at the time.
Was the makeup off?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think it was actually
Animalize or something?
Animalize. I think it was their first tour without the makeup.
That would be Lick It Up.
Oh.
Thank you.
That's why Soto's
again,
here.
hey.
You said you were going to need him for some memory stuff. Look it up.
Yeah. But, that's music has always been a part of my life in one form or another. So, when I finally got to go see a band play that I knew their songs, I was like, fuck, this is what I want to do.
What do you remember from that night? Where were you in the crowd?
Fuck, I don't know. I can't remember that. I remember where we were at when I saw Metallica for the first time.
How much further down the line was that?
That would have been like 87.
All right.
Or 88.
Was that with the Cult?
I don't remember.
The Justice Tour?
Maybe.
Seattle Coliseum? That was 80...
Wait, so the first time you saw Metallica, Cliff was already dead?
No, he was alive.
Oh, okay, never mind. That was earlier than...
Oh, wait.
Cliff died...
No, sorry. Yes, Cliff was dead, because he died in 1986.
Yeah. I was at that show. It was the Cult. It was 2 nights in a row, I think. The Cult, Metallica. I went for that for the 16th birthday. That was my...
Oh, it might have been freshman year of high school.
Well, when it was the Cult with Metallica, that was the Sonic Temple tour for the Cult.
Yeah.
But they did it opening for...
Justice for Metallica.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was the Seattle...
I could be wrong about that, but I do think I'm right.
Coliseum
Yeah.
Before it was Key Arena.
Yeah, I remember getting mixed results about the Cult on that tour.
Oh, I love them.
They were great?
Yeah, they were killer.
That record, the first couple records are awesome. I love
the first couple Cult records?
Yeah.
Some of my favorite. Absolutely.
It's so good.
I'm glad. Wow, I'm glad we're all in agreement about the Cult.
Yeah, they were a great band.
Okay, so you started going to school, and you went to school with Kirby.
Yeah, I met Kirby. I think Kirby was the first one of my little group that I met, and we weren't friends until middle school.
Right. So you came here, and you did what? Just 5th grade?
No, I think I did 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Oh, so so was middle school 7th and 8th? Or
7th and 8th,
9th?
yeah.
Okay.
Because we played.
We went up to 5th in Bellingham, so I always get confused when
Okay.
people's other have a little bit different structures.
Yeah.
Because the world revolves around me, and only my experience makes any sense to me. So, so you did 4th, 5th, and 6th before you went up to middle school.
Yeah. And then Kirby and I played Little League softball together. And that's when I was like, we both loved AC/DC. And I was like, dude, we're running laps around the playground. And we were both kind of jocks in a weird way. Because we're total little punk rockers, but we also like to play sports.
Right.
And,
wait, so you were both listening to punk rock at that time, too?
Well, we were starting to, I think. I think 7th grade was when I heard the Circle Jerks.
Was that the first thing? Who brought you punk rock for the first time?
I don't know. Because I don't think I met you until 9th grade, right?
So just think about some of those bands. It's gonna be the staple. That's always.
It's gonna. It's gonna be the one that it always is.
Let's see if he says it. Think about it. Think of all the bands that you were really into at the time.
I'm lost.
Just name bands. There was the Circle Jerks. Who else?
Minor Threat.
And keep going.
Dead Kennedys.
There's a lot of crossover bands.
DRI.
DRI.
Yes.
Was that possibly the first one you heard?
I kind of coerced that one out.
You did. I was almost actually about to do the thing.
Everybody.
A lot of people bring up DRI as an early band because for whatever reason in our age group, it seems like a lot of people that got into metal right? If you came in through metal, it seems like DRI and skateboarding was the thing that gets you into punk rock.
But there was a Cryptic Slaughter.
It's a huge
The Accused to me.
Locally, yeah.
Because that's like, they were speed metal or thrash metal or whatever, but they, you know, I always felt like they were, like Tommy was always wearing Thrasher shorts, and, you know, they were metal, but they were punk rock.
Yeah. I believe they were splattercore.
Splattercore,
Splatter rock.
Is splatter rock? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Not core?
Yeah.
But someone, so the point is though, someone had to expose you to it.
I think it was Matt Kleeman. RKL.
Oh, that's...
Rich Kids on LSD.
Yeah.
I think, so there's a kid that lived in my neighborhood, and Zach Aubrey, Isaac, I think was friends with him, and he was a total weirdo. Not Isaac, but Matt. And,
I remember Matt now.
Yeah. I believe I bought an RKL double LP off of him.
He just had an LP at school?
No, I think I got it from him because he lived right by the 7-Eleven in our neighborhood. And I always had money because I had a paper route. Mm-hmm. And he was probably trying to get money to buy drugs.
Wait, how old were you?
We were kids.
Yeah, but kids could be 14 or kids could be 10.
11.
Okay.
12.
So you've got paper route money, burning a hole in your pocket. He's got an RKL double LP that he wants to exchange for pot money?
Yeah, the greatest hits.
Greatest hits? Okay.
Yeah, RKL, the greatest hits.
And you didn't know any punk rock, but you thought, that looks cool.
Well, actually, you guys missed the biggest crossover band in the history of the world.
What? Probably.
The Misfits.
You'd already listened to the Misfits?
Fuck yeah.
But where did you hear them?
All you had to do is look at Cliff Burton's arm and his t-shirt every night.
Okay, so you were in love with Metallica, and you knew about the Misfits because of Metallica.
And that was actually the
first.
first.
So you sought them out.
That was the first punk rock record I bought. I bought the total ripoff, Die, 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 My Darling, 3-song, 12-inch EP. And I'm like, really? 3 songs?
I own it. I got it right back there.
So that, I believe, was my first punk record that I bought.
Where?
Probably not Fallout, unfortunately, because I believe
Cellophane Square.
It might have been one of those. I don't remember, because I believe Kirby's older sister was the one that took us to the Metallica show.
Okay.
And so her and her boyfriend took us all, and we went record shopping, and we got flyers. I remember getting like a Bad Brains flyer with Leeway.
Bad Brains and Leeway
played in Seattle.
Awesome.
Around that time, and I got the flyer, and like, you know, my room was covered in flyers and posters like every little punk rock kid was, but it was just cool to finally, like, to go see a show from something that changed your world and your you know, everything about your life, and buying records and stuff, and you're like, fucking awesome. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Good shit.
And so you think Misfits was the first thing?
Yeah, I would, you know, because I love all kinds of the classic stuff because I grew up with my brothers. But then my closest brother, Kelly, became a super major pothead druggie, and he was this massive dude. He was like 6'6", so he used to beat the shit out of me, but he got
your friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But he got super into speed metal, so he, you know, Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, all that stuff. I remember buying the first Megadeth record too. I was with Kirby somewhere, and I bought that record. Killing Is My Business, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't remember if that was the one. I remember when a bunch of my friends got into this band Megadeth, though.
Yeah, it had a skull,
Yep.
like a real human skull on it, not the fake one.
In my opinion, their best record.
Yeah. And Dave Mustaine was all butthurt about the Four Horsemen, so he wrote Mechanics.
Yep.
Which was a total ripoff of the Metallica song he wrote.
It was another version of the same song he wrote.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know if it was a ripoff, but yeah. But
Dave
would have been more
Mustaine.
classy to not even do that. But.
Yeah.
So he hadn't had the idea to sing back and forth to himself yet? In different voices?
Oh, God, I hate that.
Remember when it was on Beavis and Butthead and you couldn't tell which one was Beavis and which one was Dave Mustaine? Like, what the fuck? You couldn't differentiate Beavis or Mustaine.
No.
Awesome. I hope I can find that clip online.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. And I don't think that was the intention at all. Either.
Hello, me?
Yeah, and it was just like, fuck, my mind's blown.
I just remember when Quicksand was on Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, dude, that's when they made it. Remember that?
Yeah, it was great.
It's like Quicksand made it. You're on Beavis and Butthead.
Oh.
Yeah, shit.
That reminds me of...
But they were making fun of him, though.
Yeah.
That reminds me of meeting Zach De La Roca.
Yep. I told this story.
You did?
Yeah, remember Fallout Records? He came in, he's like, you cover Inside Out, blah, blah, blah. And then we went and saw Beavis and Butthead.
No, he was in town.
I don't know that I know this story.
He was friends with Greg Anderson, because Greg being in some of those bands down there. And Rage Against the Machine was in town to play. Mm-hmm. And we were in Seattle to
Fallout. We're in Fallout Records.
Yeah, but so we were going to downtown to see the Mike and Ike's Sick and Twisted Film Festival.
Okay.
No. We were going to go down to the Vogue or something like that. No. We didn't have any intention on going to that festival.
Yeah.
This is why you're here.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Mike and Ike's Twisted Animation Festival?
Yeah.
Spike and Mike's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mike and
Ike's the candy.
Whatever, close enough.
The candy.
We get
candy
there.
festival.
Okay, so we're downtown.
There's a candy festival, I know about
Kids and candy.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. So we're in Fallout.
Yeah, so we go down and we're like, let's go to Fallout. We're looking at records. And Greg Anderson is with Zach. He said, oh, there's a couple little hardcore kids in there. They love your band. They cover No Spiritual Surrender.
Burning Fight.
Yeah, whatever. Dick. And so Zach comes in and I'm like flipping through probably Agnostic Front or, Bad Brains or something, looking for a record that I couldn't afford. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Zach. And I'm like shitting in my pants and about to cry. And I think he went up to Soto first.
Yeah. He goes, are you Soto? And I go, yeah. And I hadn't seen Zach with his dreads.
So you didn't know who it was? Just some
he's
guy.
Like, I'm Zach. He goes, I'm Zach De La Roca from Inside Out. I heard you cover one of our songs. I'm thinking, oh, we're getting sued. And I was just waiting for papers to get served.
You just thought it was bad, right?
Yeah. Soto's always been a businessman.
Yeah,
I'm getting sued. I'm Greek.
But I said, what the fuck are you doing here? And how do you know who I am? And he goes, I'm with Greg Anderson. He's outside in the car. We're in town opening up for Public Enemy. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. He goes, what are you guys doing? And we're like, nothing. He's like, go with us to the Sick and Twisted Animation Film Festival.
Oh, yes.
And we saw the premiere of Beavis and Butthead.
That's killer.
With Zach De La Roca and the rest of Inside Out, or Rage Against the Machine. And the dude...
I think it was the drummer.
Awesome.
The drummer or the bass player.
They were all there. And
remember we were sitting at the very back up at the top of the amphitheater? Yeah. And one of them was like, no, was it Zach?
It was Zach through the apple.
There's a guy on MC on stage talking, and he fucking chucked an apple down.
from all the way back of the theater. And
it could have beamed somebody so hard. It was very irresponsible.
Very irresponsible. Yes, I remember people throwing things at shows and me being annoyed about it.
But I was like, it wasn't me. For the first time in my life, it wasn't me being the bad kid.
I got hit by a half bag of bread, which you wouldn't think would be bad, right?
No, it's dense.
But if you don't know it's coming, sometimes it's got seeds in it and stuff, right? But I was turning my head. We were at a Rocky Horror Picture Show in Bellingham. It was like the third time I'd seen it. And everybody was just having a massive food fight. And so I turned my head to look at somebody, and right as I turned, this half bag of bread just hit me right in the face. Almost took my eye out.
Is it Crazy Bread?
Kind of ruined. It wasn't Crazy Bread.
Whoa.
Ruined my whole night, man.
I bet.
Throwing shit.
Yeah, that's not cool.
I whipped a lot of stuff at people myself at that, though. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's a food fight.
Payback's a bitch.
I didn't know who threw the bread.
Got a little off topic with the Inside Out story.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's what we came to talk about.
That is some of the stuff we came to talk
chairs.
about. You were a little bit older at that point, though. You'd already met this guy because you were with him.
Yeah, no, I think I was 17.
Yeah?
When we met? Yeah.
No.
When that happened?
When that happened.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
We're going back.
I remember this guy was kind of an asshole.
I had just moved to Motley Terrace from Seattle.
How old were you?
16.
He was always...
How old were you? You both the same age?
I met him freshman year, and I was 13 when I started.
I didn't talk to you until later.
So you're a couple years older than him.
I didn't talk to anybody in school, though. That's
he's 2 years.
To be fair.
But he was a dick to me.
I hated school. All my friends were out of school. I didn't talk to anybody in class.
Soto would wear gray sweatpants with a yellow pair of cutoff sweatpants.
I believe, and I have discussed this with people before, back in the day when we first started coming down to Seattle, you were the guy who would play a show in a pair of sweatpants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. I have pictures.
It was my anti-fashion sentiments against society.
Something that always trips me out is that whenever someone plays a show in sweatpants, it gets remembered forever. Like there's a Strain story from,
I wish
California.
I wish I knew that then. I really did.
Because you've been answering for this sweatpants transgression your whole life, haven't you?
Because here's the thing. I came from like a really cool, like what I thought was cool. You know, like my jeans had to have the right holes in the knees, denim jacket, to like fuck society, fuck all that shit, getting in the shelter, you know. Photograph slide.
Photograph slide.
Hey,
that was the mental path. That was my mental path.
So you were influenced by
anti-materialism. No. But
he's off his rocker right now because that stuff all came later.
Yeah, but it was an anti-materialism thing.
That was when I was
definitely
16.
into like anti-materialism.
No, this is good though. This is good though because that's what I'm talking about. Like a lot of the stuff gets kind of compacted. We'll think of like 4 or 5 years as being like all in the same era. It's like, but no, especially when you're that age, that's a lifetime.
A year is a decade. Back then. Yeah.
Freshman year, I remember meeting him or seeing him around school. He would wear yellow cutoff shorts.
It's green.
Whatever. Over his gray sweatpants.
Go.
Then shorts over sweatpants is a little bit more acceptable.
But they were both sweatpants at one point.
Sweatpants, shorts over long sweatpants.
Yeah, so he cut off a pair of... So he had shorts.
That is awesome.
Then a hooded sweatshirt with a leather jacket that had the Minor Threat Bottle Violence logo.
And Christ on the crutch.
And Christ on the crutch.
What else?
And yellow or green Converse.
So you were warm and comfortable.
Yeah. And I think I would buy sweats at like the 99-cent store. And I would wear them out so bad that I would just take the good pair, cut them off, put them over... Yeah, because I didn't want all green sweats.
Sure, no, you need some.
I mean, that's crazy.
Did you ever get like RIT dye and dye your sweats another color?
No, I don't think so. I was on this huge anti-materialism thing.
So you weren't.
It was terrible.
But that was
completely materialistic.
But that was totally before shelter.
I was finding myself. Yeah, but I was saying that path was
Yeah, you were on that path.
I like shelter
because of that. Because you already had that in you.
Right, yeah. That whole,
and then
and shelter is a bad example, by the way. I'm just saying they had a couple songs that I adapted to or that I related to, is all I'm saying.
But I think that first record when it came out was amazing.
Oh, listen, that first 7-inch and that first LP,
Serenagati,
are great records.
Hell yeah.
You just named the thing I hate the most, though.
Yeah. Free Will.
Free Will is good.
They're great songs, but the thing is that Serenagati is a prayer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a prayer. Mm-hmm. And when they played in Bellingham, all my friends we were all having fun watching it, and then I just kind of stopped while they were playing that song and sat in the back of that garage, and all my friends were singing along to a prayer to Krishna. And I'm just like, no, I think I'm done with this. I think this is where I'm going to have to step away from any kind of religion and hardcore. And some people say I've been an asshole ever since because I don't like it.
No, you're right. I mean, but to me, there was something in that. Well, to me, there was a little bit of a revolt with that made sense to me where I was. Hey, everybody's.
I liked the messages in their songs, except for the fact that they were talking about a blue magic person. Like that's problematic for me.
Who can multitask? Come on, I mean that's talk about unrealistic.
And I don't know if photographs lie.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a metaphor.
Photographs lie is
come on.
Today that would be called a millennialism.
Millennialism.
It's overthought taken to the extreme. Like I think about it right now, so it must be a thing.
Oh,
that's I don't know.
And I'm going to shame you all into believing exactly as I do, like straight edge.
Yeah, I haven't really thought this through for a decade or so, but I know it right now, so it's a fact.
That actually brings up an interesting topic for me. The straight edge.
Yeah. Well, that was, believe me, that's on the list, sir.
Well, so I just remember being a little punk rocker that was also straight edge, but how did you know about it? It's your friends at school, and you get into, I saw both my brothers struggle with drugs bad, so I was like, fuck that shit.
Okay.
But I remember being with Kirby and my friend John and like trying to steal beer and, trying to be a bad kid. And I was like, this tastes like shit. Now I love it, but at that point I hated it. But So the thing that I loved about being a kid, growing up when we did, before the internet and all the cell phones and bullshit, we actually went to shows and paid attention. But so there was another band I was in called Outright that were from Everett, and they were a straight up like hardcore punk band. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they all drank and they all smoked and they might have done drugs. I don't know. I don't remember. I was 15, but I was straight edge. But half my friends did drugs, and I was like, I'm not going to judge you. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been my whole life.
Yeah, we didn't have enough people back then where you could just only hang out with straight edge people.
Well, yeah, the scene wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
So you had to put up with people.
Which I think was better because those are life skills you need.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm making. Like, I feel like I can't relate to straight edge at all as a movement anymore. And when I see kids at shows that all look exactly the same and they're like, I'm perfect, I'm living my dream, I'm better than you because I don't do drugs. I'm like, really? Live a little. Have a little empathy for other people. And like,
so you say to them the same things that dudes said to you.
Well, no, that guy was in my face saying, fucking judge t-shirt.
What
That's
guy?
Weak shit.
We cut that part out. Yeah. You were supposed to retell the story.
Well,
the guy from
so we're at Greedy Greg's house.
The Blue House on Beacon Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the singer for Jesters of Chaos, which was a fairly, in my mind, that was a huge band to me. They'd play in front of 50 people at the party hall.
They were just killer.
And he comes up to me because he's a punk rocker, and he's like, fucking Judge, because I'm wearing my Judge t-shirt. The one day I did laundry and had my Gorilla Biscuits t-shirt at home. And he was like, that's fucking weak shit. And I was like, fuck that. They're fucking awesome. And I love your band too. And it just blew him out of the water because he was like, what? I'm supposed to hate you and you're supposed to hate me. Punks and fucking, skins and hardcore kids don't get along. And I was like, no. That's not how we are. Because I had, we were definitely anti-skin,
Well,
anti-Nazi.
Anti-racist. Yeah.
You're wearing an agnostic front t-shirt. It says skinhead at the bottom.
I know.
Right now.
But...
Well, we know what you mean. Today you have to clarify that. Back then you didn't
the
have to
Metzger
clarify
Triangle was bad.
Yeah.
And kids would get the shit. You'd get the shit beat out of you in the show by the white Nazis. Then you'd go outside to the liquor store and the black kids in the neighborhood would beat the shit out of you. So you're like, what the fuck? Leave me alone, But I loved being a kid in that time and playing music and having friends that were different. Everybody was always a little bit weird in their own way, and they still are, when I come home and see my friends. This guy right here is so weird, but I love him.
All right, so I'm going to clarify a couple things.
Okay.
There had to be a day when you decided you were straight edge.
Well, yeah. So
what was the day?
I don't remember that, but I just remember we went and saw Resolution play, and I'd heard of Brotherhood, but I don't know if I'd even heard them. But, it's like before all the stuff that kids have today, you actually had to go find stuff and seek it out. So this kid... Soto always had, he had the original Minor Threat 7 inches. So, and I loved Uniform Choice and stuff like that. But I remember going to see Resolution. It was their first show. Who else played?
I think 18 Helicopters, a bunch of non-hardcore bands.
But I just
Seattle bands. Also, maybe Aspirin Feast.
Yeah, Aspirin Feast.
Yeah.
But I just remember seeing this group of kids walking down the street, and it was Ron. It was the drummer. What's his name?
Victor.
Yeah. The goofy guy that went on to play in Sunny Day Real Estate.
Nate Mendel.
No.
What?
Nate's cool.
Yeah, I know. I was like, why are you calling him goofy for?
No, the guitar player.
Oh, what the fuck is his name?
Dan.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah. Dan was a Sunny Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
That's right, yeah.
And then
the guys were all hanging.
Yeah.
Brian Bauer.
And the Undertow Kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are these guys? And that, it was intimidating because we didn't know them. And they were all we're already all...
And they're all decked out in their gear.
Yeah, and they were already we're like a unit. So I've always been an outsider, but at least I had probably Kirby and Soto there. But we, I felt kind of out of the loop, but they were always cool to us. And when you get new people coming into a scene, they were really cool, but it was still intimidating. But I don't know the exact moment when I was I'm straight edge, but it probably would have been about 16 or 15.
Do you remember the first time you put X's on your hands?
It probably was an Undertow show.
Yeah.
I brought bingo daubers, as a matter of fact, and we X'd up a bingo daubers. I remember that. And Mark Holcomb did it too, and was pissed because he went to bed with his hands like this, and woke up with a big fat fucking X on his face.
I can't wait till I get Mark on the show. I got to remember to ask him about that.
Yeah, I brought bingo daubers. It ruined everybody's day. But they looked killer. They were huge and fat.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
No construction gloves.
Which show was that? Was the Dauber show?
It was a party hall show.
Party
but
hall?
I don't remember.
It wasn't that first.
It might have been an Outright Face first show.
Yeah.
I saw it right
where
in
you,
the face
where you
first.
pulled double duty.
That was one cool thing for me as a drummer. I played so much.
Yeah, people
every
needed you
day.
bad, and you were a good drummer.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I wasn't a good drummer, but I played every fucking day of my life from 13 to like...
Do you think you weren't a good drummer? Because I think most people thought you were a good drummer.
Well, if you have guys like the Slayer hippie and Eric from Christ on a Crutch and guys like that playing, and you go see them play, I didn't consider myself a good drummer. But you can bet your ass I fucking watched them play and stole as much shit as I could, especially the Slayer hippie.
You are the only drummer that I've ever been at shows and seen people just there to watch you.
Weird.
And that was an experience I had twice, and I think both times it was at the Velvet Elvis. But I remember people not, like a couple of women that I knew, not being into the band. They were just standing outside watching you drum, and I was like, "Oh, it's that drummer thing, shit." But yeah, you were a sight to behold. So I get it. Like some people cue in on the drummers, but
well, that was a good place to see a band because if you wanted to focus on the drummer, you could walk behind the band while they're playing. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I look at those photos and I'm like, there's people behind our amps watching us play or watching Undertow or Wool or whatever, any band that played there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the way you want to see a band. Because we were on the stage, but everybody was a part of it.
Yeah.
And the stage really was a living thing where you could get, and it wasn't like about, the glory shot where everyone's pointing up to Rave Today, like, yeah. But it was a very intimate.
We didn't get a lot of that. There was an Undertow show at the Velvet Elvis that has a little bit of that element to it. There's some great photos from that.
Yeah.
But it's still, the Velvet Elvis wasn't conducive to that because it wasn't a raised stage at all.
Yeah, you were like
right?
2 feet up.
That stuff was happening at like Ground Zero, the Redmond Y.
Yeah.
It wasn't really happening in Seattle. It was a different element. Like once that East Side element came into it, it was completely different. It's good, but it was completely different.
Yes, and these are the regions of our area here where we're all from. Basically, the east side is separated from Seattle by Lake Washington, which is like a long, thin lake essentially, and there's cities on the other side. And for a while, those were kind of like different scenes. And then in the mid '90s, we all kind of merged. Because for a while, you had to leave Seattle to do a lot of the bigger all ages shows because they were illegal in Seattle because there was a teen dance ordinance.
Party Hall was very different than the Redmond Y.
Party Hall was a scummy little rental hall where with mattresses leaning up against the side.
It was a hair salon.
Oh, was it?
By day.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
It was probably
they had a pool table.
Just someone also used it to cut hair during the day because it was probably their bootleg hair pop-up hair place.
Yeah.
And
they said don't touch them, don't lean against the mattresses or you'll get scabies.
Well,
do you remember that?
Yeah, and I just remember everybody's shoes turned red.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Everybody had the red shoes.
Because the tile. All the condensation and sweat got on the floor, and those were terracotta tiles from somewhere, not made well.
Just walked over to Dino's on the corner, gave him $75. He gave you the key, and
you had a space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably someone threw someone in a chair in there, cut some hair during the day. Why not?
21st and Madison. They still haven't built on that space.
But it's torn down, right?
Yeah, it's torn down. I mean, before it was torn down, it turned into the original Twilight exit.
Yep.
And then it was a law firm, then the Twilight exit.
Oh, really? There was a law firm in between?
Well, it was
pop-up law firm.
The CD. I mean, it was like, it was a CD when the CD was still the CD, ungentrified,
Yeah,
so it was
Central
like
District here.
But
that was a sketchy corner.
Oh yeah,
Stuff went down sometimes when you go to a show there. Now it's
the last show.
That was
the
a
last show
Parenthood
because
there.
of the shooting. Yeah, Born Against,
Rorschach and Downcast, and I didn't make that one. I didn't make up to Bellingham for that one, or down from Bellingham for that. But there was a shooting outside.
That crazy guy.
That was what ended the shows. There was a drive-by shooting.
Well, no, I thought that
no one got shot though. They just shot up in the air, right?
Shot through the windows. Everybody was on the ground.
Oh, is that right?
Wasn't it that guy? I can't remember his name, but he went outside because somebody had beat some some of the kids from the show up.
Some kid from the show went to go to the corner store and it
got beat up.
He got jumped. And then
that happened a few times.
Well, there's a guy, I can't remember his name. He was really big and he always had crazy hair and tattoos.
You're talking about Oren, are you?
Yeah. I think he won.
Oren's responsible for so much. He passed away. He was awesome.
I think
Ron knows a lot about Oren.
He was killed in a car accident, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But I could be remembering.
We'd hang out there. Like when Jawbreaker played, we interviewed them.
I didn't think they played at the Washington. They played somewhere else.
They played at Party Hall. First tour, Unfun.
Wait, who?
I thought it was down the street.
Oh yeah.
No, they played Party Hall.
Yeah, they played.
I got photos.
With Econo Christ.
Brother man, this is actually an entire set of negatives from in the Party Hall for Jawbreaker. I'm going to put those all up on my site that I took at that show.
The Jawbreaker show you're thinking of with the Econo Christ, that was at the Barricades, Columbia City, which is now Columbia City Theater.
Okay.
I think, if I remember right. Yeah, the Barricades.
Wait, with Econo Christ and Sunny Day Real Estate? Or
it was Sunny Day Real Estate as,
Chewbacca Kaboom.
Yep. And that was probably one of 2 Jawbreaker shows that 1007 didn't play with Jawbreaker. I don't know.
Yeah, we played every show.
Yeah, there was like 2 that 1007 didn't play or something like that.
When they played that Party Hall show, they had their van parked around back, like the alley around back, and so we just sat out there after the show and interviewed them in that neighborhood, just chilling out. You know, I always felt fine there, but it seemed like everybody else I knew got jumped or attacked, or there was some shit that went down.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit happening back then.
All right. So you don't know the date that you claimed Edge.
No, but
you don't know who got you into the first thing that made you go, yes, straight edge, that's me.
Oh, well, it would have been Minor Threat.
Minor Threat?
Yeah, and I remember Kirby gave me a hard time because I was 16 and I had a lot of stuff going through your body where you're like, I want to have sex really, really bad. And he's, Kirby's like, if you're straight edge, you can't have sex. And I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, no, I don't know many people up here that actually adhere to that one. Right, that seemed to be a real alternate.
And if you did, you were lying.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So
bullshit.
He was kind of giving me a hard time about it. I remember that at the time. So I was about 15 or 16 when I was finally like, yeah, I'm fucking straight edge and I'm going to get laid someday. And it's going to be awesome. But
we don't have to go into that on this podcast.
No.
Okay, good. Unless you want.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet. Anyway,
if you offer, I'll listen. But I'm not going to ask you that question. I'm still open. Awesome. Okay. Because some people really know the day, Like.
I do, but I just remember Kirby giving me a hard time, and his whole thing was.
I don't really know the day for straight edge.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know the date. I just remember him giving me a hard time, and I was I was a little peeved.
Because he ended up being straight edge too, though, didn't he?
No. And we're still really, really, I mean, I love him. We've always been good friends. But you always kind of go through these little ebbs and tides where, I was like, he's fucking with me. What the fuck, man? And I remember when all of us got together and finally played in our own band, it was Spearhead or Balance of the World. I remember it seemed like you and Kirby were like simpatico.
Yeah.
And Zach and I were, because Zach and I lived in the same neighborhood still. And these guys lived downtown, so we'd play a show. And they'd be like, oh, is it cool if you guys just deal with the merchant, or not the merchandise, but the equipment? So we were always like, why are we the ones always fucking doing this? So we were like, it's like you start to have these, not rivalries, but little, but I've always been really good friends with Curb, except for when he thought I was a dick in grade school. But, yeah, he was giving me a hard time. Little jerk.
And then what made him, were you the person that got him into straight edge then?
Everybody got each other into whatever we were doing, I think.
I think it was just the evolution of our culture, if you will, at that time.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about my friends is they don't expect me to be just like them, and they're not just like me. So I don't know. I don't really think I had any effect on him becoming straight edge. He might have been actually at the time, but we all were straight edge together for a long time.
Sure.
And I was listening to like I got big into animal rights and being a vegetarian and all that stuff, probably from Youth of Today. And I loved Conflict. And I think Soto was the one that got me into that, like everything. Because all my money went into my drums, but he always had money to buy music. So he would just dupe me CDs or
cassettes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you haven't mentioned a tape yet. You haven't mentioned getting a tape from anybody. With
no, he used to make the best.
Soto used to.
Yeah, Soto used to make the best mixtapes. And it would always be 2 songs.
Together.
Yeah.
Double shots.
Okay,
of the same
double
artist.
shots of each, yeah.
And it was always like, you go from like 7 Seconds to Gorilla Biscuits to something else. And you're like, wow, the whole tape just kept in Circle Jerks or whatever. And it was always, because he had a very broad musical taste also. But it was all, like he loved punk rock, but he was still a metalhead. And so I probably learned everything or got exposed to everything from Soto musically, or, most of our other friends. But he and him playing bass and me playing drums and him being in every band I was ever in, when I lived in Seattle, it was just, it's like having my brother with me. And, he just always exposed me to new music.
Okay. And then before you know it, I guess if I saw you guys play that Face First show with Undertow, that was pretty early on then for you.
Yeah.
So I've known you for most of the time you were involved in like the because you're talking about the Resolution era, and I was going to shows coming down from Bellingham for shows at that too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything that I usually hit on. Fights. You get in a lot of fights?
Just freshman year of high school.
That's right. We hit on that for a second.
Yeah. So
what was this fight about?
I was a weirdo. So I played sports.
You played sports and you were a punk rocker.
Yeah, and
were you a skateboarder?
Yeah, I love skateboarding.
We're going to talk about that in a minute too, but let's do the fight.
So most of the kids at my school were fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Like all kids in high school. But they were like, we had the Seattle Thunderbird junior hockey team or whatever, like the semi-professional hockey players that were fucking huge would play, they went to our high school. But I played football, and the quarterback and the running back were just total cocksuckers. They were assholes. And they would fuck with me every day.
What did you do?
Nothing.
No. What did you do on the team?
Oh, I played fullback.
Okay.
So I'm right there. We're all 3 always together. I'm right behind the quarterback and right in front of the running back. So one day, the irony was that the running back picked the fight. And then it was like, you want to fight? And I was like, if you'll leave me alone, yeah, let's fight after practice. But I fought the quarterback.
Wait. So it was a set-up fight. It just didn't happen. Like you actually had to go meet up for the fight?
Yeah, no. And it was like, after practice, go around the corner.
With guys on your team?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. And so the quarterback's father was there. And
what, standing in the doorway? Like
no, it was after practice. No. It was after practice. So some people's parents had showed up to pick him up. I was riding my bicycle, and so he's all, Dad, I'm going to go fight this guy. So, okay. So we go around the corner, and one of our mutual friends, I think he was more my friend than the quarterback's, was going to watch the fight. And the dad pops around the corner and goes, hey, fucker, get out of here. So it was just between, he didn't.
Oh, there wasn't even an audience.
No, there was nobody.
Not even the dad.
No.
The dad was just waiting to see which kid walked back around the corner.
Well, I think he was, he just popped his head around the corner just to see what was going on, and he saw a third party there and was like, hey, I don't want this to be an unfair fight.
Right. Okay.
He's probably a very pragmatic father, just like, hey, you're going to fight, whatever. But so, I've only ever been in fights with my brothers, and you don't talk about it. He just starts beating the shit out of you, and you fight back. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is really awkward. I've got all these nerves, and my tummy hurts, and like I'm scared shitless. But I'm not backing down because these fuckers won't leave me alone.
Right.
And so I didn't know what to do. I've never started a fight before. I finished them because my brothers would beat me up. And I just started yelling at him. I was like, you're a fucking asshole. And I just listed off everything I hated about him because he was fucking with me incessantly. And I finally hit on something that pissed him off so bad. He started running towards me because we're walking in a circle with our hands.
And you were listing off your list of grievances.
I'm verbally berating him to the point he couldn't take it anymore, and he ran towards me, and I fucking punched him in the face and broke his nose.
Oh,
and he's immediately like blood is just got everywhere. And he steps back and he goes, "Oh fuck!" And he's small. He's taller than me. I'm about I'm almost my size now, so I'm about 6'1", 6 feet tall. I'm probably about 200 pounds.
And how old are you?
13.
Okay.
And I'm the smallest of my family.
Right.
So he's got this look of like...
What was he thinking? What?
He was big, though. He was like 6'2".
Yeah.
He was big for his age, too. He tried to fucking tackle me after that. He's like...
Oh, he came after you again after you...
Yeah. And I literally grabbed him and stopped him and picked him up and threw him on the ground. Like you see in some of these videos today where, some guy just picks you up and throws you and, he's almost knocked out, but he's on his face and he's just like, oh my God, I'm dying. And I fucking put my foot on his face and I'm smushing his face into the concrete and I'm all, you had enough, motherfucker. I was pissed. But
and his dad isn't seeing any of this.
No. And his dad probably would have been like, well, just, if you knock him out, don't keep punching him.
No.
But I got on my bicycle.
It was probably a big lesson for him.
Yeah, because years later, I didn't play football 10th grade or 11th grade, but I did my senior year because I broke my leg in a motorcycle accident. And he went to a different high school, and he told everybody, he's like, whatever you do, don't fuck with that guy. I never had to fight ever again.
He spread the word, huh?
Yeah, because if I have to, I will, but I don't want to.
Right.
I'm very mellow and peaceful, and I just want to be left alone. But when you fuck with me, like this kid and his buddy did, man, it finally all erupted. And
his buddy never came back around with it, huh?
No.
You set up the fight with him and he put in a second?
Well, yeah, it was really weird. It was very high school. But the
it's like Game of Thrones. Like, you got to put in someone to fight for you.
I've never seen that show, but...
Well, that happens in it.
Okay. The funniest part about the whole thing, though, was when I got on my bicycle and started riding home. I felt so bad that I beat that kid up, and I beat him up bad. I started crying. I was like, oh my God, I beat him up. Like, it was hard for me. So, I don't like that kind of... When your adrenaline crashes...
That stuff's important, though. Like, it's still an important part of your development of how you, came into the person that you are. Because all these things happen for us when we're in those age groups. That's why I'm always fascinated by first fights, first loves, all that stuff. But yeah,
I've had one little altercation since then, but it was like 20 years or 30 years apart.
All the shows you've been to, you've never gotten into a fight in the crowd?
When we used to go to the Seattle Union Pacific, there was those 3 or 4 Nazis that would show up from Bremerton Island.
Which is now El Gaucho
downtown.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting a walking tour of Seattle with this guy.
Hey, I
can't think of his name. Remember the dude walking into the pit with the chair, folding chair over his head?
Crazy
that was
Jim.
The best part.
Jim. And the best part, he's walking in with the chair, and he had the craziest look on his face, and Lori Lefevre just like beelined right over to him and just kind of grabbed him and turned him around, and he didn't even stop or struggle. He just like totally went, whoop, like she just moved him in an angle, and so he just walked out of the,
redirect.
Perfect. I remember thinking, well, that was awesome, but his point was definitely made. Like, chair coming in.
Yeah. And from my vantage point, it was awesome because all you see is this chair going boom, boom, like over the head of people, like this bobbing up and down.
What show was that? Was that
Seaweed?
Seaweed, or was it Into Another?
Yeah, Into Your Mother and Seaweed.
Oh, it was the same show?
Into Another.
But I think Seaweed was playing. Or what, was it Sam I Am?
No.
That was a different show there, though. I saw Sam I Am there.
Yeah, I saw that too. So anyhow, I knew these guys would always show up to those shows. So I wore my Force Down End Racism t-shirt. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I fucking know it's going to piss them off, which is why I'm wearing it. Fuck you, you racist motherfucker,
That period of time when that Sailors Union of Pacific shows, when those shows were going on, it seemed like there was a lot of potential violence right in that period of time. And it was from that I went and wrote the EDGE OF QUARREL script. Yeah. Because remember when there was a whole group of people chasing somebody down the street?
Yeah. And so what I think it is, though, is that was when the scene was getting really big and you had a lot of people coming in that weren't there for the first couple years.
Oh, there was an influence that came in and caused trouble. That's for sure.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Oh, am I talking about someone?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm wearing my shirt to provoke him because I'm kind of good like that. It's like, I'm not going to sit back and let something like that go on. I'm going to do something about it. But, I let him bring the altercation to me, and he's dancing in the pit, pushing people and punching them. And he comes by me and he just sucker punches me out of nowhere.
The
skinhead.
Oh,
But the funny thing was, my brother was 6'6" and 275, and my other brothers took second in state in wrestling.
Yeah.
So I'm used to these guys that are huge. When they punch you, you don't wake up, for like 5 minutes. And he punched me, and I laughed at him. And I was like, "That's all you got?" And all of a sudden, then I see Jim go right by me.
Wait. So I had no idea that was actually that chair story is about you getting punched.
Yeah, Jim was watching. I think he was standing on the chair watching the show, and I was standing right at the. I was one of the people.
I had always thought that he had run out to the edge and grabbed it like it was leaning against the wall. Because it was folded up, right? As he came out, it was like a wrestling.
When it was above his head, yeah.
I think he was standing on it.
Probably.
That could
Jim,
be to see.
Jim was maybe 5'9".
Okay.
He wasn't super tall. So I just remember the whole show stopped, Seaweed stopped playing, and everyone's looking at these three guys, and they're like, "We're going to fucking kill you." That's the sense that I had. And I was laughing at them. I'm like, "You fucking pussy. That's all you got." But I didn't, we didn't even get a chance to fight.
Right. Well, Lori got right in there and
yeah,
she pushing people out and was.
It was funny though because I followed them out by myself. No one followed me, and I got in their faces outside, and one of them was huge, and I was talking so much smack. I was like, "You're a bunch of fucking pussies,"
and you backed them away just by yourself.
Well, they were leaving. She kicked them out.
Yeah.
But I was out there talking shit. I didn't throw a punch, but I was letting them know, "Don't come back." And I turned around and I'm like,
"Oh, I thought there were people behind me."
The whole show was with me. And that brings me to another altercation. Do you remember that?
That's what we like. Come on.
We were walking. I think you were there. Soto. Maybe it was Matt and Tom.
Oh,
the University District.
Oh God.
So I think we were going to play pool at the little pool hall.
Yeah. We were at the billiards hall.
And we were walking back, and we got onto 45th.
Well, this story could take place in the mid-50s. We're walking back from the billiard hall.
Which is...
this is like 94, 95.
Earlier than that, dude. Like 90, 93, 92. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, but... So we're walking, and there's this car full of kids driving eastbound, and we're walking on the north side of the street westbound towards the freeway. And they start talking shit. And they're, it's like going when we used to go to the sucker capital of the world.
Yep. Like Resolution wrote about.
Yeah.
Sucker capital of the world.
Yeah.
The minivans and the mini cars driving through the Chuck E. Cheese and the parking lot up there in Linwood. So it was one of those like, "We're going to heckle you." And I think they were actually talking to Matt Aiello.
I can't remember.
And Tom, because they were little kids. They were like 16 years old, if that. They probably were younger. And I just said something like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Or I flipped them off or something. They did not like that. But I'm like, "Hey, man, if you're going to do that, you get better expect that someone's not going to take your shit."
I feel like everybody our age has their story of the guys who got out of a car for a fight.
Well, so they make a left onto University.
Uh-huh.
I think. Whatever street that
He's
is.
now looking at Soto for verification.
They stopped between Brooklyn and University Ave on 45th.
No, they turned around and came back.
Yeah.
And they pulled in and they separated our group by this little alleyway. I think I was in front and they were behind me, and they almost hit me with their car. And there were 6 Russian kids.
Oh, that's not good.
Right across the street from the Neptune Theater on 45th.
Okay, so it was 6 Russian kids in the car?
And they jumped out.
That might have been a mistake then.
Well, the funny thing was they jumped out and they grabbed bats and pipes.
Oh, no.
My dad's a plumber, so he's got all this 3 feet long, 2-inch plumbing pipe,
Oh, they popped the trunk, or they just had them on the floor?
No, they popped their trunk, they jump out.
Yeah.
And they fucking surround me. And they're Russian, so their English is really, I'm like, "Really?" And I was like, "Okay, I've seen... bears, and you either play dead or you make yourself really big." So I made myself as big as I could, and I just looked at him, and I was saying every stupid thing you could say to try and antagonize them. "You guys are a bunch of fucking pussies. You're not going to hit me. Fuck you. Do it. Bring it on." So I kind of got like Crazy Jim. I was like, "Fuck these guys. I'm not going to back down." I was like, and they had me in a circle. Mm-hmm. So I was constantly looking around and turning my body, and I had my arms
someone
up.
Couldn't get you from the back.
Yeah, and I had my arms up, and I'm looking, and Matt Aiello and Tom, those little assholes, or at the fucking corner a block and a half away.
God damn it. Where were you?
So, well, no, yeah, I was there. I was no. I was very relevant in this.
All right,
I'll let him finish.
Good.
And I don't know if I'm remembering it. You might remember it differently, but that's how I remembered it. I was like, I got as big as I could, and I'm
How
like,
did it fold up?
well, so I'm looking. I'm like, those motherfuckers ran away. And they were like, and later I was giving them shit about it, and they're like, we were trying to get the cops, man. And I'm like, fuck you guys.
Well, so yeah, he was surrounded. They focused on him
Because I was the one that said
and
something.
I think Jennifer was there too. I don't know what happened.
No.
No, it's anyway. So, but I was standing. I was standing outside of that circle, standing there like fuck. And I think I had mace, like bear mace on me, maybe, or something like that.
I used to carry mace at this time that you guys were talking about. I did.
Yeah. And so, Matt and Tom ran up to go find the cops. I literally went 30 feet backing up like this, and flagged a cop. That's it.
And you did flag a cop?
Yeah, I flagged a cop. They got arrested.
Oh, that's how this ends?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
I
just happened to be like right there, and then there was like right by that key bank on 45th or whatever. There was a cop right there. And
So right now, Ivan is in his cell right now.
He's
doing he's listening to his podcast. He's got stars above his heart. Like he's got the whole Russian mob tattoo
stars on his knees and his feet.
Yep, and he's just doing push-ups and he's just listening to you. And he's
Bring
like,
it on.
He goes by Kinder now.
I get you good.
Yes.
It'll be like Eastern
Soto
Promises.
just did the Eastern Promises 2-finger on the neck move, which was badass.
I won't be naked fighting though.
You won't be?
No.
Okay.
No bathhouses.
I'll keep my gi.
No bathhouses.
You need the gi to choke him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was sketchy because there was no winning that. We were.
You're lucky
they came prepared.
Well, you're lucky that none
something.
of those 6 guys was the crazy one.
Yeah.
Because you just needed one to swing and it's on, right?
Well, I think it's really easy to be hanging out with your buddies and talking tough. And then when the reality hits you, we're like, fuck, we're getting out of the car. Why are we doing that? You know, we don't want to do this. And then you're standing there. Who's going to be the first guy to do it?
Yeah, you guys are supposed to run.
Well,
you didn't run, so you screwed it up because now they have to circle you with weaponry.
And that's what I've and I got more and more powerful as that 2-minute interaction. I mean, my heart was pumping, but I was like, everybody I know is like 6'5", 6'7". They're all 100 pounds on me, and they beat me up daily. Fuck you guys! I'm not gonna back down from you. And luckily, I made myself big enough that they didn't want to hurt me. So. But that was a very, very close call.
I always, with guys getting out of cars, because in Bellingham it was all like hicks. It was all like county boys, you know? And they were always older. They were always in some fucking Mustang or some asshole muscle car or whatever. Which cars I think are amazing now, but at the time, like, you'd see that car and someone would be yelling something out of it.
Well, yeah,
like,
you associated that car with that hick.
Yeah. And so we would always run, you know? And we had one friend that wouldn't run because he didn't care how many people were in the car. He was going to fight them. And so that sucked if you were with him, because then, you know, everyone else was down to run. You know? But I was never with him when it happened. I would just hear the stories after the fact, right? But one time we were walking back from a movie, and we had my friend's sister and her good friend, and so there were 5 of us walking, and this carload of guys goes by and yells something, and we all, you know, we're all just ignoring them, and the sister's friend yells, "Fuck you, assholes!" So then they come back. And we can't run because the girls won't run. So then it's like, oh, fuck, now we're defending honor. Now we're in trouble. And that actually was a shitty night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little bit... I didn't get beat up, but I got a little bit roughed up. Because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
There were more of them than us in the car, you know? But in the end, they still got in their car and left without any real damage. And the girls just kept mouthing off the whole time. And we're like... So when they leave, we're like, hey, shut the fuck up, because you're not getting punched in the face.
That's probably what saved you, is because the girls annoyed the guys so much.
Could be. I mean, the girls were like 13 or 14. We were like 15, you know? So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
We're learning.
Yeah. Learning curve.
Yeah. Don't yell at the hicks that are going to beat us up in front of you to try to impress you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Russian mob kids.
No, that was bad. Yeah, I don't hope I never go through that again.
What was your first skateboard?
Freeformer.
It was a freeformer?
And I think my dad bought it for me from Fred Meyer's.
It
was a tiny little wood board.
Oh, okay.
With one black stripe of the grip tape. Mm-hmm. And it had almost no tail. And it was just a tiny...
But was this during the skateboarding era when everyone was on the wide boards? Or was this even earlier?
No, this was like 1983.
Okay.
Or 84, right when we first moved into our neighborhood.
Right.
And then the kids next door, the older brother skated. And then I was always... every fucking penny I had always went into my drums. So I never had money for skateboards. We lived in a nice house, but my parents weren't rich. So all their money went into the house.
Right.
So I remember, and you know, my mom tells me it wasn't really that bad, but as a kid, I always felt like it was. And I was like, I was always worried about if there was going to be enough food, which is probably why I eat fast today. I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm eating it.
There's only so much.
Yeah. But Mo Davis, who's a friend of ours, who I actually was in my first kind of real band with, it was Kirby, my friend Matt Mayer, and Mo Davis, Jason Davis.
What was their name, Eric?
Fertile Turtle.
Your band was Fertile Turtle?
Yeah.
Makes me laugh every time I hear it.
And we played the Mountain Lake Terrace Talent Show.
Nice.
In 89.
Let's call it the Big Mountain Lake Terrace Talent Show.
Yeah.
Because that just sounds like it would be in a movie.
And
Fertile Turtle.
Fertile Turtle.
Yeah. So my friend Mo was a badass skateboarder.
Right.
Probably still is. But I think he was either sponsored or he knew someone. So he always got new boards. And I'd be like, hey, what are you going to do with that old one?
Oh, so you got hand-me-down.
Yeah. So I was always a hand-me-down
So
kid.
what was your first, like, pro-level board?
It was Ed Templeton.
A Templeton? Who did he skate for?
I don't know, but Mo gave me that board.
Was it Santa Cruz?
Templeton? No. I feel like it could be Dogtown, but I don't know if that's right either.
Maybe. I don't know.
We're going to have to look this up. Templeton is not a name that I was very familiar with.
I think it was. Or wait, who's the guy that runs the label with Billy Joe? Adeline Records. What's Jim Thiebaud?
Oh, Thiebaud.
Maybe it was a Thiebaud.
Okay.
Because I remember
that was probably Santa Cruz.
Because the reason I think it was him because I ended up being in some bands in California that were put out by Billy Joe and Jim Thiebaud on their record label, Adeline Records. And I was like, I used to fucking ride his skateboards when I was a little kid.
Nice.
So
what was your setup? Do you remember your trucks and your wheels?
No, everything was a hand-me-down.
Sure, but it was like the first time you had like the good stuff.
Yeah, it was all beat up.
It was all beat up
because Mo shredded. So I mean, he shredded the shit out of the board. It's like when you play drums and your drumsticks are totally shredded and you can like go like this and they look like you're gonna break. Then he'd be like, "Here you go," which was still better than
what you had.
Fucking nothing. But all I did was fall down. I was really, really bad. All my energy and focus was on music.
Okay.
So I loved playing drums. I loved skateboarding too, but I just was never good at it. And the kids that were good, you'd just be like, well, you'd watch them skateboard and you'd be like, "Fuck, I can't do that."
It was real skateboards.
Yeah.
Real Templeton. Yeah.
But real didn't come around till the 90s, did it?
Yeah, 92. That's what it says.
Oh, well, I guess that could be right, because I'm thinking this would have been the 80s that you're talking about, like the late 80s.
Well, I started on a real old school skateboard in like 84.
Right.
Then I stopped.
Okay. So this would have been early 90s.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
So then I got into motorcycles. Then I broke my leg, and my dad made me sell my motorcycle that I just bought. And then I bought my drum set. Or I might have, I can't remember. I might have had my first drum set already. But,
well, you had a drum set made of a garbage can and a bunch of buckets.
Well, yeah. And then I went to the Seattle drum shop, Jerry Garcia, on First Avenue, and bought my first drum kit for like $400. And this is how broke I was. That was all the money in the world I had from paper routes and all that bullshit. But I couldn't afford the extra $50 for a drum throne to sit on. So I was doing all this experimenting on, how am I going to sit and play my new drum kit? My dad drank a lot of beer. So I was like, 3 empty beer cases of beer, the generic white label, black letters beer. Yep. That's what I sat on.
Not just in movies. That was real stuff.
Yeah. Because you had the little game board underneath.
There was a little game board underneath.
Yeah.
Like
You guys don't remember that?
No.
the little game board underneath the beer.
Yeah.
I remember Lucky Lager had little puzzles under the
it's like
caps.
It was like 3 or 4 pictures, and you had to figure out what it meant. So I did a lot of that.
I believe in you.
Yeah. Something like that.
An I and a B, and then someone like walking away.
Yeah.
I believe. Something like that. But yeah, okay, I didn't know that the beer had that. I know Lucky Lager had that.
Yeah.
One night we were on top of a hill somewhere in Bellingham, and everyone was drinking Lucky Lager except for me. And they were all trying to solve the caps with a pen light. And then every time they'd solve one, everyone would cheer and scream, and then they'd throw the empty bottle up in the air, and it would fly down into this playground underneath and shatter. So they were shattering glass all over a playground.
Nice.
It was awesome. The cop showed up a little later. We ran, got away.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to run.
We did. Yeah. We got away. It was
good times.
Sometimes you gotta run. You can't stand and fight the cops like they're a gang of Russian kids.
No, it's bad. It's all bad.
Okay, so I think that's most of those things. I get where you came from now, and I understand why we ended up in the same place, the party hall, and then started basically working together because you ended up in 1007. You were the second drummer that I knew from 1007.
And I loved that band.
I loved that band. I love that band to this day.
It was kind of crazy, actually, to become a part of it because I loved Chainsaw Orchestra.
Okay, Chainsaw Orchestra is an absolute classic. Yeah. Amazing record.
And then, so they seemed like, I just remember they seemed older, and they probably were a few years. But, and it was totally not the style of music that a lot of people listened to or liked in our scene because it was mostly hardcore and some punk. But
1007 was totally this kind of
their own thing,
pop punk thing,
and
but
people
it had
liked
a
them.
little bit of a DC kind of vibe from that early 90s kind of. There was a real DC influence, and Matt had come from that area.
And I just remember loving them. And then it was so weird. I don't even remember how that came about, but he called me or something and left me a message.
But didn't you two come as a kind of a package?
No, Dave Ford was
that's right.
The bass player.
Okay.
Because those two guys, the bass player and the drummer, quit to go to school.
In Bellingham.
Yeah.
And I did a band with them up there called Bulgus Looney.
Yeah.
So they came up.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know how it happened, but I ended up getting in the band, and then I never knew Dave, but he was cool as shit. We had him and I had a good time. I have always, bass players and drummers always get along, and I think every band I've ever been in, I've had a special relationship. We were, like good friends outside of the band, and but then Dave quit.
Right.
And I was like, motherfucker, I'm getting my buddy Soto in.
So you brought Soto in 1007?
And I think he was very reluctant.
I might have been. I'm always every. It's a commitment, but I was stoked. I remember that. Yeah.
He didn't make me feel like he was stoked. I was like, it was like trying to get laid.
You'll have to go listen to the Soto episode of I've Known You Too Long to find out his version of the story.
Well, because I same thing as him. I love 1007. It was like, oh, rad, but it was like, oh shit. I mean, it was kind of like I get set on where I want to go, and I get so fixated on it that I may even waste time knowing that I'm not even going to get there. But that's what I want to do. And so 1007 might have been a sidestep from that, maybe.
Well, so I
was reluctant in that way, but I love that band. It was fucking.
We were super into hardcore bands and stuff and punk rock. And I think...
Yeah, in the photo shoot for the 1007, the second LP that I put out, you're wearing a No Escape t-shirt.
That's my No Escape t-shirt.
I think I had it for months. No Escape t-shirt.
You had it for years.
Years, as a matter of fact.
He broke it in for me. So that was a great show, too, by the way. We saw them play, and I bought that shirt from Tim or somebody.
Nice.
And I think, who ate the last of the Lucky Charms? Into Another?
Yeah, Into Another. Who ate the last of the Lucky Charms?
I think it was a bunch of East Coast hardcore bands. So Soto and I, you have the point I'm trying to make is Soto and I were always together in my little Dodge Omni. Everywhere I went, there he was. But yeah, he even wore my t-shirts.
Well, I would, I had a pretty shitty home life, so it's like I'm gonna go visit my friends. It was either his house or the LaFaves, which was just up the road. And I would literally go, I'm going to go there for the night. I'd be there for months.
I think he lived at the LaFaves.
I actually lived at LaFaves for like 3 months.
in the basement.
Yeah, the parents didn't even know it was there half the time.
Awesome people. Honestly, the LaFaves are why any of us did anything musically, because it would have been...
Was that the place that you could go?
Well, yeah, that was like the neighborhood too.
It was a place that let us go on tour.
Well,
it's a van. That's a good story.
We're like, okay, we got to go on tour, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to figure it out. I'm like the one idiot kid in the neighborhood that just goes up and says what I think. Uh-huh. So I go to Mr. LaFave. Hey, Mr. LaFave, do you think I'm in a band and we're trying to tour the United States? Could we use your family van for the summer? And as an added bonus for collateral, we'll take your son Tom with us too.
That makes any sense.
Yeah.
By the way, he's like, what was he, 15 or 16?
He's like, I can get this kid out of here for the summer. You can go see the country. And this was 10 of 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's like, hey, pull my finger. You know, like he was one of those dads.
Oh, God.
He was just cool as shit. And he was like, let me think about it. Okay. And so he lets us.
Yeah.
And we fucking destroyed that van. Not on purpose.
Yeah. No.
But
you can drive a van around the country.
But yeah.
And it was the 7-passenger Dodge van. It wasn't the 13 or the 17 person like that everybody ended up touring.
Not the wide body that they made back then either.
It was the smallest one you could get, but it was a step above my mom's minivan, which would not have done it.
Right.
And we put one of those clamshells up on top. So we constantly were getting up on top of the van, which fucked the roof up.
Yeah, and would burn the shit out of us because it was like summer. It was like August in Utah.
And so we put the spare tire. This is how smart we were. We had to put the spare tire on top of the roof. Then we'd have to climb on the roof every day because we had personal shit up there.
Right.
So we fucked the roof up, destroyed the van. We bring it home. We actually broke down in Sioux City, Iowa, which was epic.
Yeah, that was
Benjamin Davis.
There's some stories around Sioux City, Iowa alone.
Yeah, really bad stories. But
what, the kind we don't tell on this podcast?
No.
Well, when you see your buddy and he's like, "Hey, he's like a block away. He's like, "Hey, Kinder, I left a bag of fruit on the door for you." You're like, "Cool, thanks, buddy." Because I had like gone to use the telephone. I come back and I see this plastic bag hanging on the outside door of our
motel room,
and I'm all. And I didn't think, take a breath before you look. And I'm just normally breathing, and I go, as I look in the bag, and it's a dump.
It's a bag of shit?
It's a bag of shit that's not on fire.
Why don't you tell him why he had to take a dump in a bag?
Well, first off, I have to tell you how he took the dump in
How
the
did
bag.
I not hear any of these stories from Matsuoka?
I'll be here for the sound effects while you tell the story.
Matt was pissed because we used his credit card and we destroyed. You think we destroyed the van? We destroyed that fucking hotel. And so
wait,
when
we didn't start the process on that hotel. We weren't at fault for starting that.
No, I think it was Ben and Matt.
It was Matt. It was 100% Matt.
But it's
but he still got mad at us.
Total Matt, because we were like, okay, you want to play that game? We'll play it too. And then he gets really butthurt when it's time to leave because we fucked that room up. But so when you go into a motel, they provide you it's like a cot, and you open it up because it's got folding legs and it's got little strips of fabric.
Yeah.
And you put your luggage on there to open it so you can unfold. And
sure.
Fucking Ben Davis pulls that out in the middle of the fucking room, sits down with a plastic bag under him, spreads the material wide enough for him to take a dump in front of everybody into a bag. Yeah, the sound effects.
Wait, those are the sound effects? Do it again. That's what you hear.
And I didn't witness any of this. I was out using a phone or something. Because we bought a dialer from this kid.
The phone dialers. You remember the phone dialers?
Phone dialers. We've talked about them on this podcast before, but just so people understand what this is, you'd buy a dialer at Radio Shack. It just made the same tones as a payphone. You could buy a different crystal through like a supply company. If someone knew how to do it, they could solder that crystal in and it would change the tones. You'd hold them up to a payphone and you would push the 3, I think.
Yeah.
It would make the sound of a dime.
Yeah.
And the
or
phone,
a quarter.
I never had one that never had one that made a quarter sound. I only had a dime sound.
No, we had quarters, dimes, and nickels.
You could do
And we bought it off.
So you
this
could
kid.
make free phone calls at payphones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was intended to do speed dial over payphones.
Right.
You could save numbers and it would go beep, 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 or
But
whatever.
early
You change the
hackers,
crystal. Yeah,
early
you change the
hackers
crystal.
figured out how to get free calls.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
And we all, I mean, everyone in this room had one, right? At some
yeah.
point.
We bought ours in
It was a necessity
Atlanta.
on tour.
Did you ever have it screw up and have someone come
Yep.
onto the phone? What
Please-
happened?
Can you please insert another quarter? Yeah. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And then I think she caught me, and I was like, "Fuck this!" Boom, and I hung
Exactly.
up the phone.
Hang up the phone and leave.
What are they gonna do?
They're gonna send someone to
The
for a quarter.
GTE police.
GTE, which was the phone carrier of choice for payphones back then.
Yeah.
The phone
Or-
provider.
But so yeah, so this,
Criminals International. Well,
I think this kid Mike put
Federal
on our
criminals.
show, and we played in Atlanta at the Somber Reptile, and which was I think after we played the motorcycle repair shop in Savannah, Georgia, with Buzz Oven.
awesome.
Yeah, got shot at.
Can you imagine being in 1007 and having an Asian singer in your band playing to a bunch of drunk rednecks at a motorcycle repair shop with a dirt floor?
Yes, I can.
And I think it was right around
on
the fourth.
on the 4th of July.
So while you're trying to play Chainsaw Orchestra or Mr. Bundy or whatever songs we played, they're throwing lit fireworks at us.
Oh, Matt probably loved that.
Like missile batteries at us, aimed at us.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to ignore this and I'm going to do my duty. And then all of a sudden, Ben Davis grows a pair and just goes, whips his SG off and goes, "Come on, fuckers, fuck you." And then Matt's all, "You guys ever wonder why people hate the South?" He said something like that. Total angry racist little Asian guy yelling racial epithets at white people.
If any of you haven't listened to my other podcast, The Token Asian, this is the other star of my other podcast. So definitely, this is some early stories of his exploits.
Yeah, so
before he found weed.
Yeah, so we were like, fuck this, we're out of here. We stopped playing. We're loading our van as fast as possible because I'm like, someone's going to beat us up, and I can't beat everybody up. I'm the only guy in the band that could probably protect us. And this guy comes up and goes, "I fucking love your band."
Nice.
He's like, "I really do. I bought a t-shirt and I bought a record, but I got this gun." And he pulls out a gun.
Yeah, it's like a 45.
No, it was a 9mm. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." He's like, "You want me to take care of this for you?" And I'm like, No. We're
Wait,
leaving.
So he was going to go take care of the people that were giving you guys a
fucking
hard
with us.
time?
Yeah. And I'm like, "Dude, put that away. We're leaving right now." He was going to go shoot somebody.
So he bought a shirt, bought a record, and came to defend you while you were
I think he only
loading
bought
up.
a CD. I don't think he bought a shirt.
I don't even know if we had
Matt,
shirts.
no,
but-
yeah, no, we had shirts. Matt and I remember we pulled out shirts and said what size you were. I remember that. And we gave him a shirt and sent him off
That's
away.
fantastic. See, now I feel like that's the kind of band that 1007 was. A whole group of people are going to fuck with you and throw shit at you, and one guy is going to come out and pull a gun because he loves you that much.
Well,
that is as perfect an analogy for 1007 as I've ever heard.
You would know because there was like 7 of those guys that bought records, right?
What's that? Oh, you mean in life?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I put out 1007
Yeah,
records.
you put out the records and they didn't sell.
Here's the thing, I kept putting out records that didn't sell
Yeah.
for bands that Matt was in. No, sometimes those
And
other
other
records
people.
would sell.
I know, you won't-
Yeah, but it was. Look, I've always loved the music that Matt made. I never took it.
great.
I never took that bad of a bath on anything. You know.
Yeah.
So 1007 never caught on the way I wanted it to. It should have.
I know. I look back and I'm like, that was a good band for the time.
Especially the songs we never recorded. Those last.
That's what Matt talks about those songs
Well,
too.
and especially because we'd open
He
for
says there's a
Jawbreaker.
tape somewhere that you guys recorded like at a college on that tour, and you played.
WFMU.
There's a
in Jersey.
WFMU tape.
And King's Head Inn in Virginia Beach.
Right, and those had these
sound
songs you
killer.
never
Yep.
recorded,
Yep.
and he doesn't know where the tape is.
That's
Well,
a bummer because those were.
That exists somewhere.
I've been trying to
though.
get those from him for 20 years.
So we played WFMU, which was amazing because it's really bad. You don't want to be outside.
East Orange, New Jersey.
Yeah,
It
it's
wasn't
the
that bad. I went for a little while.
carjacking and car stealing capital of the world. But we're playing, and there's a guy there, and like everybody played there. The Misfits played there, and so I think you were talking to the guy that was running the board, and we got copies of like all these different bands that we loved, like Green Day and the Misfits, playing WFMU at different
Nice.
stages. And then I remember we made some friends in Virginia Beach. And I do remember listening to the cassette at one point that you guys were talking about. And we would cover U2's With or Without You. I was just doing double bass the whole time. And just making a mockery of the song. But it was awesome. And all these little hardcore kids would jump up on stage when we play it and fucking sing along. Yeah. But we turned it kind of into like a super hardcore version of that song, which is weird because we were a pop punk band. Mm-hmm. But we played.
You guys ended up playing with a bunch of hardcore bands.
We played with Earth Crisis and Strife.
108 and Salt Lake City.
Kids were stabbing each other and stuff at the show.
Good times.
We always played with weird bands.
Yeah. Not
weird, but it was weird that we were on those
generally
shows.
It went over pretty well. I mean, like when we did the Earth Crisis and Strife, that was Josh Mandel's house. Is that New Jersey?
Not Grabel?
No,
Josh Grabel.
Josh Grabel.
You're thinking of Dave Mandel.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting it mixed up.
It's all right.
Trenton Falls, New Jersey, that basement. Like, that was a weird lineup, but kids totally were, like, requesting songs of ours.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that was sweet. Like one of the nicest houses I've ever seen. I think they had a bowling alley, subterranean bowling alley in their house.
Oh, I think you're thinking of
They were rich.
Yeah, I think that was a different show.
I don't know. I just remember that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, because the show.
I live in Briar.
Yeah, it was a different show, but I remember that one. It was like a theater. They had like street lamps down there and shit.
Oh, didn't we watch a movie after the show?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Movie?
And I think like that show you're thinking of. I think Jimmy Eat World played.
Really?
Yeah, they were nothing at the time.
Still are.
I know. I love that band.
I'm just kidding.
I love them, man.
Red Rocket later played with Jimmy Eat World in like Phoenix.
I'm just kidding.
It's after the first album came out. But yeah, actually, if you guys played with Jimmy Eat World in the summer of '94, it was still probably a couple years before their first LP even came out. So.
Yeah, I knew who they were because I had gotten sent a CD because I was doing this little review thing. But yeah, they weren't big.
Well, so I feel like we have to talk about South Carolina. My pet fox cricket.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
Roadkill.
Oh, that was terrible.
What?
We met some guy at a bar. We were at the dump bar across. There was like a 2-lane highway. People are going fast.
I forgot about that.
So we're on the rough side of town, and across the street is like the cool hipster college kid bar. We're at the dumpy like white trash meth head bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this was the guy that put on our show, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
he was in the Independents. Do you know that band? Like they all had devil locks, kind of rockabilly-ish.
No.
They're kind of legendary in their town. They've been around. Okay. I think they're still playing. Same logo. They were kind of misfitsy, kind of comic booky devil locks, but almost rockabilly. It was kind of weird.
So yeah, he's putting on our show, and he's got a pickup truck. And we meet him, and obviously at that time none of us drank. Matt might have, but we were straight edge.
Wasn't even old enough to drink.
Well, yeah. Matt might have been 21, but
Matt was.
I was 18.
Yeah.
First U.S. tour, and we meet this guy, and he's like, "Hey, you want to see my pet fox cricket?" And we're like, "You got a pet fox?" He's like, "Yeah, come here." So he opens up the canopy window at the back of his truck, and it's a fucking dead roadkill fox with flies buzzing around.
Yeah.
And we're all like, "Oh, fuck," because we're all, vegan or vegetarian or whatever. And I'm like, "This is horrible." I was kind of like not into this. I'm like, what do we get ourselves into? And then he shuts it because all the critters start coming out because that thing had been dead for days. Oh. So he closes it. And then all these really hot young, 21-year-old chicks start coming across the highway to this dive bar. And he's like, "Hey, babies, you want to see my pet fox cricket?"
Oh, no.
And they'd be like, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden you hear them screaming like, "Ah."
That's terrible.
And somehow... So we've got Tom LaFave with us too, who's like 15. I'm 18. Soto's 19. Ben is probably 18.
Back in the days when parents would just send young children across country in a van with other young children.
Go do whatever you like.
Yeah.
And so this probably mid-40s working girl.
That's a nice way of putting it.
I don't think had any teeth, but she somehow ended up coming back to where we were staying with the promoter.
Yeah.
And she starts to try and walk into the room that we're all 5 of us are sleeping in a room about the size of this studio, which is just a normal bedroom
She
size.
thought bonus, 5 for 1.
Yeah. And we're literally kicking her. We're all laying down and like half asleep. And she's like coming in, like trying to find whose sleeping bag she's gonna crawl in, and we're like kicking and like, leave me alone. And she was going after Tom LaFave.
The youngin'.
Just like in Chicago, you remember that? We were in Chicago, and those 7-foot-tall transsexual hookers were like, "Hey, baby." You don't remember that?
I don't remember them, but
they were all over Tommy.
I remember Fort Smith, Arkansas. You want to see my tattoo? Oh, my pussy must hate it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Clarify that story.
So we were in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Love that place.
We're sleeping. It's fucking August, and it's super hot. So we're all sleeping in the living room of this kid's apartment.
Was that the vacant apartment that he didn't live in?
No. That was Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
So we're all sleeping in this living room, and it's hot as fuck. So we're all sleeping in our underwear. We're all young kids. Like, we're all...
Like Stand By Me.
Maybe a sheet on us or something like that. This kid's dirty aunt is there. Like, she's just like, I think they're all plumb naked under... Like, she doesn't know we're actually playing asleep because we're just like, fucking go away. And like, so... She's just like, I think they're all plumb naked under there. And she's like going around trying to lift up everybody's blankets and sheets. And I was like, fuck. I woke up. I'm like, leave me alone. And then she starts talking about somebody's tattoos. I don't know who, because I didn't have any then.
I had a tattoo.
You had a couple of tattoos. You had one tattoo at least.
She's like, I got a
Shelter.
tattoo. It's a tattoo of a mouse. You want to see it? And she starts pulling up her skirt. And there's nothing there. And she goes, oh, my pussy must have ate it. And we're like, what the fuck?
Thank you. Please leave.
How old is this woman?
Well, you know, back then it felt like she was fucking ancient. She was probably 30.
30.
I honestly,
None of you are older than 18.
No, I don't remember.
Oh,
I mean, it felt like she was like 70 back then, but you know.
This is see, we're laughing about this, but you just switch around a couple things about this story, and it's a horrible, abusive story.
Yeah.
But it's funny as hell. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't have changed anything.
No, I mean,
I wouldn't have.
the shit you go
Poor
through.
Tom is 15. He's just like, what the?
But it was funny. Everywhere we went, all the crazy people wanted him.
Yeah.
They're like, he's so young and pretty. Innocent.
Yeah.
All right, so that was 10:07, but you were also in another band, like at the same time that was doing a lot of stuff.
It wasn't the same time, was it?
There was a little overlap. There was some. We figured out there was a little overlap.
Yeah, Balance the World and 10:07 was at the same time.
Originally, you were called Spearhead, though.
Yeah.
And then you had to change that name.
Because there was that guy...
Michael Franti.
Yeah.
From Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy. His new band was called Spearhead.
And I think, actually, one time Maddie's... Am I saying it right? Maddie's. Kashfaras.
Yeah.
So, we were friends. I had a crush on her, I have to say. I'm finally letting it out, but...
She's been on this podcast.
I totally had a crush on her, because she's beautiful. But
she is. I will not disagree with you. I might have shared some of that sentiment with you, and she is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
one of the most fantastic people I know.
Yeah, and I'm glad that that's the thing. Like, we grew up with all these different people, and fucking, you know, I love that about, because I feel like in life today, people just want to generate to one. You know, like, I just want to be surrounded by people like me, and I hate that
because you can connect instantly with similar groups.
Yeah.
Like, all bands can sound exactly the same.
Yeah. I like everybody being themselves and being different. But anyhow, back to my point. She told me one time, I think she was the one that told me that there was another band called Spearhead. And I was like, fuck those guys. Fuck them. You know, like.
And then you saw the video, there's the hole in the bucket.
No, I don't think I ever knew anything about them.
Huh.
I've never listened to them or nothing, but I believe she told me one time, she was like, yeah, that guy wants to meet you guys or something. It was something weird, like.
That's super cool because that guy is awesome.
Well, yeah, and that's all. I don't know anything about him, but that's kind of what I've always heard. And then we were like, fuck it. You know, we were like, I think Beijing Spring was probably going to be our name because it was after the photo of the guy in the Tiananmen Square, the little guy standing against the tanks.
Standing in front of the tanks. Now, you have just accidentally walked right in to a Mandela effect situation. What happened to the guy with the tank?
Oh, he disappeared.
He disappeared?
I don't think he's still alive. I don't know that.
But you don't know that. What happened to Soto? What happened to the guy with the tank?
I don't know.
You don't have a memory?
No.
there are a lot of people that remember that he was arrested, and there are a lot of people that have very, very distinct memories of seeing the tanks run him over.
Interesting.
I do remember something.
I know someone who says they were so upset by seeing that when they were younger that they remember crying in front of the TV because why did that happen? And they had to be consoled by their parents. Like that's do you know what the Mandela effect is? It's that whole Berenstain Bear thing.
Right.
Where people think that history gets changed and people are left with memories of events that never happened historically because they witnessed them and then history was changed in some way after the fact. So you have the memory, but there's no actual record of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have no
That's
idea.
one of the things. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But
so
yes.
I wanted to know if either one of you remembered him getting run over.
No,
I don't
recall.
So you were going to name your band Beijing Spring after the dude.
Well, yeah. So we were in this predicament of like, well, what are we going to call ourselves? And obviously I feel like we were kind of pretty political, and we were, all straight edge except for Zach. We were all vegetarian or vegan. So we all had these like things that we were passionate about, and like we were young and naive and wanted to change the world. So I think our music, we wanted the name to reflect the meaning of our music, kind of be something political or, but that's the only other name I can remember.
It was Blood Runs Cold was another option.
Yeah.
Which I think was Kirby and I. It was so.
Yeah. And so
then you opted for.
This goes back to us having not rivalries, but our little.
Yeah.
It was almost like we were on two different teams, and
well, yeah. I mean,
so Kirby and Soto would come up with a name, and then Zach and I would come up with a name, and it was like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. But somehow we ended up.
It was never a battle, though. It just seemed to flow that way. Like it was always like.
Well, and I honestly just think that you and Kirby at that point were more closely connected together than Zach and I were. So it was palpable in the band room and tour and stuff. It's like, I saw Zach go pick up that prune juice and drink it all. Whereas,
and I heard what happened.
Whereas you guys might not have seen it. You saw the aftermath, though.
So now you guys
heard the aftermath. I didn't see the aftermath. I heard the aftermath.
No, wait. So the band became Balance of the World.
Yeah, I digress.
Okay, no, that's fine. Then we'll go into the prune juice story. So you guys did settle on that name.
Yeah.
And then what? You went on tour and there was a prune juice story.
Well, actually, I think it was when we were Spearhead. We went.
Yeah.
Oh, now I remember some band from Florida, which we shall not name.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I still, actually, when I played in Time in Malta, we played CBGB's.
Yeah.
And that band was there. And they were trying to talk to me, and I was like, go fuck yourself.
Oh, you had issues with those guys. I don't remember what the issues were over.
Shit.
So, I mean, we
didn't
were supposed
name the band, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, and if you were around back then, you'll know who I'm talking about.
That band from Florida. They seem to be here all the time.
So we were supposed to tour with them. And, we all made arrangements to leave our jobs and come back. And they were like, we were excited because this was a bigger band for us. I think they had a record out and they had a booker. So it was like, you guys book your own shows to get out to Florida and then you'll jump on our tour. And we were like, fuck yeah. Everybody's excited.
Yeah.
And we book a really shitty tour down to California and over. But we played like, I remember, the kid from Manumission, Jeff Capra. Yep. Jeff Capra's awesome. He put us up at his house. But so we did these little shows along the way, and we met a lot of really cool people. And I remember right before we left, all of a sudden through the grapevine, it was like, oh,
This story has actually been told. Soto told this story, a version of it, and I think he actually dropped the name then, but that's okay.
But so the band from Florida was supposedly going to cancel the tour, and I'm like, fuck, just tell me now. I'll be bummed, but tell me now, because we haven't left yet, and we'll make arrangements, and we'll stay in our jobs, and we'll figure it out. But no. There was one guy in the band that was like, everything's good. So I'm like, all right, just tell me now. And it's, no, we're doing the tour. Okay. So we do our little tour to get out to Florida. And we don't find out till we get to Florida that the tour's off.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, you know what?
Furthest point from Washington in the U.S.
Fuck you guys. Forever. I won't I gave you an opportunity. I would have been butthurt then, but I was really fucking butthurt after. And
diagonally across the country from your home.
Yeah, no. And we stayed in Florida for a couple days because I had a girlfriend in Florida. So
this whole thing was your elaborate plan to get to see your girlfriend. You knew the thing was off.
No, not at all.
I know, but we could.
Conspiracy
Soto, I think
theories.
Did you ever think maybe you and Kirby were thinking that? Yeah, they knew.
Oh, yeah.
They knew.
It's all right.
So I remember.
That's how good of bros they are, dude. They were willing to drive all the way across the country with you.
Thank you.
So you could see a girl in Florida for 2 days.
But so we were like, well, let's stay. We stayed for a couple days, and I think there was some behind the scenes in their band, the other band that we won't name, trying to work it out still.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that may have been going on the whole time. You guys coming may have actually been the thing that was being used to try to have leverage for that tour to happen.
Yeah. But to me, it was like, that's really immature.
Oh, you got used as a tool.
Yeah. And I felt like a tool. And so I think you guys went to Disney World.
Yeah.
I left these guys and they all did their thing together. And I was hanging out with my girlfriend for a couple days. And we meet back up with them and I'm like, fuck, get in the van. We fucking drove for about 40 hours from Florida. And we stopped, I think, 3 or 4 times for gas. And that's it.
Just drove home?
Oh, we stopped in the Black Hills and went to Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, we went to Mount Rushmore. Didn't we go to the Grand Canyon too? Didn't we make our way through?
Well, that was on the way out.
On the way out? Yeah, I can barely remember any of that.
But so Tom LaFave has family, some of his Native American side in those mountains. So we stayed with them for like a minute, had some dinner probably or something like that.
Laundry.
Yeah.
Remember that.
And yeah, I mean, that's it. I fucking drove all the way almost. I think Tom drove for like 5 hours.
You had an adventure.
Yeah.
Would you go back and change it?
No, but I'm not going to be friends with those guys. They can go eat a bag of dicks. I've heard it's delicious, by the way.
Yeah, burgers.
In Seattle, it's not an insult.
It's not an insult in Seattle. Yeah, exactly. I just saw that on the internet.
Mm-hmm. So it has to be true.
So you did Balance of the World. When did that come to an end?
95. I think our last show was with The Accused.
Yeah.
And 15?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
No, not The Accused. 15. We opened up for 15 opened up for us. It was Velvet O's.
Which was weird.
Yeah. But it's because it was our last show, so.
Yeah, and that was the end of, it was in like November of 95.
Yeah.
And I went 6 months here where I was like, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a band. What am I doing?
So Dempsey was in that period of time too.
Yeah.
You were in a band called Dempsey.
Yeah. So Mark and I were good buddies. And
Mark from Undertow.
Yeah.
Holcomb.
Mark Holcomb. Oatmeal.
Oatmeal, we call him. I don't, but other people do apparently, I've heard.
Yeah. There's an inside story about that. But we worked together. We worked together at the sub shop. And we had, I became good, but I felt like we were good buddies. And
oh, yeah.
We still are. And actually, I was supposed to play second guitar in Undertow.
Well, you also played second guitar in Die Down.
Yeah. Well, so that's what happened was Mark and I worked together at the same store, and it was going to be a problem for us to go and do that little, it was like San Diego tour.
Yeah.
And I was a horrible guitar player. I can't play to save my life. I think he just was kind of like, hey, I like you. We want to have a second guitar player. Everybody in the band, everybody likes you, and we get along. So I think he wanted it to work out. And I don't remember practicing, but it was supposed to be, maybe I played with him once. And then it was like,
with Undertow.
Yeah, with Undertow. And then they went and did the tour because we couldn't both leave. And then when they came back, they're like, well, I think you're going to play for Die Down now. So they handed me down to the Kid Brother band. And I played one show.
Up in Bellingham, right?
No, in Vancouver on Granville Street.
Oh, that's right. You didn't play the...
And I wore a little green bandana around my head. And probably my Gorilla Biscuits t-shirt.
That show was fun.
And I think all the guys from Strain were there.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we played with
them, yeah, because I used Eric's bass cabinet. And I think did I use his bass? I don't know. He was very uncomfortable with the fact that I was using his equipment.
Which I understand.
I know you do. You and him are, I find you guys very similar in your approach to the way you look at your equipment. It's not it's not just equipment. It's not just something anybody can use. This is your like curated piece. This is
well, and I think for the instance you're talking about with that band, and we were in Canada, I think. I was like, I'm on tour for 6 months. I don't have, you know, if something happens, I'm screwed.
What are you talking about?
When I saw you on tour, remember?
Oh, there was okay. So we didn't talk about this on the podcast, but earlier today we were talking about a time when you were on tour with another band and someone wanted to use your drums and you were like, no.
Yeah.
Which I totally understand. I mean, people were just like, what's wrong with him? It's like, yeah, known Eric for a long time. That's not exactly that weird. Like,
yeah. Well, I remember
borrow someone else's drums.
The guy in that band he got in my face, I think, a little bit about it, and I was like, dude, really? Get over it.
You two should have known each other in different circumstances because I think you would have actually liked that guy.
Yeah, but I didn't know him, so I was like,
exactly.
Who the fuck are you?
Random out of the blue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
like I said, you know, Murph and I always shared equipment, and that was never a big deal because I grew up with that kid. He was my buddy.
Yeah.
So I had no, you know, if he would have fucked my shit up, we would have figured it out. But when it's somebody else and you're on tour and you're going to be on tour for a while, I was like, sorry, buddy. But yeah, so...
I gotcha. Well, anyway, so luckily Eric from Strain did let me use his stuff.
Yeah.
That's how we were able to play up there. But you didn't play, the time, I think the second to last time Die Down played was in a house in Bellingham in a basement. I thought you were there with us that night.
I don't know.
And we were just getting crushed by the crowd. That doesn't sound... I
don't know. And Soto wasn't in the band, so he can't...
I thought you played 2 shows with us.
I might have. Okay. Ron would know.
Ron would know. But he's listening. He can chime in.
Yeah. I have no idea.
If he made it to the 2-hour mark or whatever we're at right now, he can chime in.
Well,
we're really into the deep stuff now.
Yeah.
This is where you really got to care to be listening.
Yeah. It's crazy, though. We played in a fucking lot of bands.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're quiet, huh?
Well, so after Die Down, after Dempsey, you moved away and joined St. James Infirmary.
Yeah. So I moved in with some friends of mine that were from... One of my friends from Seattle moved down to California and married this awesome dude.
Bill.
Yeah.
The friend was Kirsten.
Yeah. So I lived with them for a while.
We went to their wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Together. We flew down together, remember?
Yeah.
And when you were still living here, we went to their wedding. And
that was 95,
They had a band play at their wedding, and she sang Wolfpack in her wedding dress.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. That was at Lake Merritt in Oakland.
Kirsten, one of the most straight edge people I've ever known in my life. Totally hardcore. Totally awesome.
Not trying to burst anybody's bubble, but the last time I saw her...
Don't tell me nothing.
No, it's a good story because it was the last time I saw Jody.
Oh, yeah.
And from Strain. And it was Bill, Jody, and Kirsten. And I ended up buying them all dinner at this little warehouse. It was called the Warehouse Cafe in Port Costa where I lived. Mm-hmm. And he's all, yeah, can I get a PBR?
Who said that?
Bill did.
Yeah.
But it was for Kirsten. And I was like, what?
Well, I'm cutting this the fuck out of this podcast.
Well, I'm not trying to...
No, I don't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I literally was like, I mean, I don't care anymore because I'm, you know...
Come on, it's still a thing. What are you going to do?
No, but I was surprised. Like, there's a few people that I'm like, if I ever heard about you drinking, I'd be like, wow, that's crazy. So to see someone that was straight edge before I even knew what straight edge was, and I remember I have photos in my personal photos where Kirsten's in the crowd at probably a Brotherhood show or not a Brotherhood, but a Resolution show or an Undertow. Yeah. Well, it was shows that I was at because I was taking the photos.
Oh, right.
I'm like, she's wearing a Chain of Strength t-shirt and she's totally X'd up and she's like, yeah. And so all those years later to see her drinking a PBR, I was like, whoa, that was pretty crazy. But it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm just heartbroken that you can't believe.
I'm sorry. But that was the last time I saw Jody.
See, because people always be like, oh, girls can't be straight edge. And I was always like, you know, I'd say that sometimes too, like fuck with somebody. But I was always like, nah, it's not true because Kirsten.
Yeah.
That was my thing. She was my holdout. But I know other. The truth is, I don't know very many people that are still straight edge anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like it really matters. She held out for a long time.
Oh yeah.
She certainly raised the average amount of time that ladies would be straight edge.
Yeah.
If you take the small amount of women that are straight edge at all and the large amount of dudes, I think just the fact that Kirsten was around for that long kind of ups their per person average above men.
Yeah, but that was a weird night because that was the last time I saw Jody.
Oh.
And I
Jody
tried
from Strain.
Yeah, I tried to see him. Well, he contacted me again after that because he was in Port Costa, and I was just getting off work and I missed him. I saw him drive by, and then 4 months later was when I heard about the accident.
Oh God, okay, so it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and we were supposed to hang out, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'll see you next time." And then the next time I saw some, I don't get on Facebook that often, but when I did, I saw that, and then my friend Julie, who is also Kirsten's friend, I just messaged her and I was like, "What do you what is this shit?" So that was pretty rough, but
yeah, it was a real bummer. That was in between. I wasn't recording any podcasts, and I was just like, I was looking at my list of people, and I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, there's his name with a little box next to it that doesn't have a check mark. Like, he's never coming down to hang out and record. Like, it's not. It was just kind of. I mean, you look at things kind of from your own viewpoint, right? And that was kind of what I was doing when I heard it. It's just like, this is awful.
Man, Soto got fucking quiet.
Well, yeah, I'm just.
It's all the fucking.
It's not about me. I'm just here to.
So quickly, let's catch it up, because basically, what usually happens in this podcast is we get up to the mid 90s with people that I've known for a long time, right? We kind of get up to the mid 90s, and then it's like it seems like that took forever. That was everything we ever did, and then the 20 years since then, which is more time than any of the time we've talked about, just seems to have gone by like that.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing? You've been in a couple bands. You moved to California, and I've seen you a couple of times since 96.
It's been 20 years since I left, and I haven't played my drums. I quit playing drums and playing in bands in 2003.
Okay. After time in Malta.
Yeah.
Okay.
My last show was at Slim's. Can't remember who we played with, but awesome tour, awesome show. We had just gotten home from Europe. So yeah, I quit. I moved to LA, and I had started playing a lot for other people. I played for a band called The Criminals for a little bit.
Oh, sure,
I did a US tour with them. So I was starting to be playing on people's records. The guys from American Steel had a new band.
What are they called?
They were called American Steel, and then they formed a band called Communique.
Right. Okay. I saw on Discogs actually today that your name was linked to them, but it wasn't you in the picture.
Yeah.
Of them. No. And I was like, well, maybe this is a mistake.
No, I literally just played on their record, and took a day off of work. I worked at a drum store and recorded their record. And then not too long after that, I did 2 songs on a record for Madonna's label, Maverick. And then I did a TV commercial for the WB, and it was all for this band, this Canadian band. It was all 15-year-old girls called Lilacs.
I remember
okay,
that. I remember that deal. And
you played drums for it?
Yeah. So I knew the producer owned the studio that I did a lot of work at, and so he used me for 2 songs on a record and 1 song on a TV commercial. Only time I ever made money playing drums in my whole career.
I don't know why you didn't just keep doing that, because I would think you would be well suited for that.
Well, so I moved to LA after I did that recording, and on that record there was the drummer for Frank Zappa and Sting. His name's Vinny Colaiuta. Fucking upper echelon of the stratosphere for drummers. It's like Neil Peart, Vinny Colaiuta. Those are the guys. His name was on that record. Josh Freese, who plays in every band in LA, was on that record. So I was like, fucking A, I'm moving to LA and I'm going to be a studio musician. And pretty much as soon as I got there, I was like, fuck this.
Oh, you weren't into it?
Well, I'm not a schmoozer.
Right.
What you see is what you get. So yeah, it didn't
There's
really
a social game component that goes along with it.
Which is why I'm, so yeah, that's why I don't play drums anymore. I was like, I have to grow up, and I'm not sleeping on floors anymore.
You could still play drums.
No, I know, but I'm actually working on getting that back into my life, because all I do is work and sleep.
Yes, this is like the true story. This is okay, you were at your lowest low, but then the last chapter is you're playing drums. If this was a video, the last thing we'd show would be you just starting to play drums again for the first time.
So I just got to get myself to that part.
You don't have the drums?
Oh, I have all my drums.
It's just literally a matter of just sitting down and playing, huh?
Well, I don't have anywhere to play. I take that back. I do. The guy from American Steel and Communique, owns a studio recording place and rehearsal place. And he's given me a key. I just got to go. But I work crazy job.
What's your new band going to be called?
It's going to be an ABBA cover band. I'm not going to do originals anymore. It's going to be all covers. No, I don't know.
All ABBA covers? Bob?
Yeah. I will play again, but I'll probably never play in a band again, I don't think.
Okay.
Unless somebody moves to California. Because I'm never moving back to Seattle.
You're never moving back to Seattle. Well, you were up
Never.
here, and I thought you had put out the word that you might be considering it. Am I remembering that wrong? Did you not a while back say you were thinking about coming back up this way?
Like 7 years ago.
Well, that seems like yesterday to me. Was that 7 years ago?
Well, that was the last time.
I thought this was on Facebook. Did we even have Facebook 7 years ago?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But the last time I played was actually here in Seattle, October 3rd, 2009, which has a really cool meaning for us because one of our oldest childhood friends, John Kraft, had disappeared from our lives for a long time. And then because of the stupid, horrible Facebook, he reconnected with us and saw that Undertow, Strain, our band, a bunch of bands were doing a reunion show. And our buddy John came out from Colorado and ended up meeting his future wife, Tracy, at our show. So,
yeah.
Facebook, as awful as it is, I have reconnected. Like, I think we all forget when it was coming together and everyone was getting on board. I mean, how many long lost people did you find and reconnect with on there?
Yep.
There were people in my life that I didn't know if I would ever hear from again who just popped up on Facebook one day.
It's powerful, but it just, I think...
I tracked someone down last year that I didn't know. I didn't know that they were going by a version of their name I had never heard. So I put out a call to my high school friends. How do I find this person? And like 10 minutes later, oh, here's his profile.
yeah, it's
Awesome.
crazy.
I love it.
That's what I like. When I get on and I see it's all about politics and name calling. And
It's still too new, honestly. I mean, that novelty is going to wear off. People are just like, I gotta say something. It's like, no, you don't. You don't. Actually, just think about what you think.
But I
for like 10 years first.
But I have an opinion.
That's it. Let it stew for 10 years. Grow the fuck up.
That's
live
funny
that.
that he brings that up because
I'm guilty.
We used
as
to
fuck.
I do it all the time. I love to fight on Facebook.
No.
No one would be surprised to hear that.
No, this is an epic Soto story that you have to hear. We're hanging out in Everett. And I started getting tattooed when I was 16 years old.
Oh, boy.
Which is illegal. Don't do that.
I already know this story.
But we would always joke, and I'd be like, what's your tattoo going to be? And he's all, Mr. Bubbles. Or Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean.
Yeah, Mr. Clean.
Oh, Mr. Bubbles, I was thinking a little thing that scrubs a bathtub.
Well, I used to joke about getting Mr. Bubble, too. So I was being ironic because everybody I fucking knew was tattooed.
Ironical.
You gotta understand, again, this is going back to my anti-materialism phase. Everything's funny to me because I'm young and that's a new thought to me. I'm like, what if we just got funny tattoos instead of serious ones?
Right, and then did you see Ron's
dress in
tattoo and go,
sweatpants.
oh yeah, he's got that.
What?
Doesn't Ron have Mr. Clean?
He might.
Ron probably does. But I thought Mr. Clean was like the ultimate straight edge icon, obviously.
Well, so
Yeah, absolutely.
fast forward.
Surprised he didn't catch on more.
I know.
We fast forward like
Surprised it's not.
15, 20 years. He thought about it, and he's going to get it right now. I'm just kidding. But he finally got it. He started getting tattooed, which I thought was like,
At
you know.
31.
yeah,
He waited.
yeah.
And it was a Motley Crue tattoo.
Yeah.
Something I would have gotten when I was 14.
Soto likes to really spend some time contemplating.
Yeah, as people should.
Deep thinker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay, so then we've come all the way up to now.
Yeah.
Now you're working. You have a badass adult job.
Kind of. I want to be a kid again.
You want to be a kid again. That's where the drum thing is coming back.
Yeah, I don't want to work anymore.
Well, you're getting to that age where just don't go buy a red convertible, dude. Just go back to the drums.
Yeah. I have a funny story too. I sold one of my drum kits to Bun E. Carlos from Cheap Trick.
Really?
That was cool. I bought this drum set in Indiana on tour with Time in Malta.
Uh-huh.
And it was probably one of the rarest drum kits I had ever seen in my life. And I worked at a vintage drum store. And I knew Trey Cool and my friend Bill, or our friend Bill, was his, he worked for Green Day. So I would see fucking crazy drum kits, and I would go around, and I actually was like really into that stuff. And I ended up buying this drum kit that was probably maybe 15 drum kits were built just like it.
Was it in a shop?
Or it was in a Guitar Center of all places.
Okay.
And I think we needed strings or somebody, we're on tour. So
you just kind of, it turned your head like, what is that doing sitting there?
And they had a sign up for $1,700. And I was like, what the fuck? But I didn't want to show my surprise. So I went up and they were literally going to put it on the internet that day on eBay. They were lowering the price. And I said, I like it. I'll take it. But you got to ship it to me in Berkeley. You got to ship it like this. You got to do this, blah, blah, blah. But I want it for $1,500, shipping included. And they were like, okay. And then I turn around and hold on to it for probably 10 years. No, not even 6 years. And I sold it to the drummer for Cheap Trick for $4,000. To buy it today, 8 years later, it would probably be double that now.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's such a rare drum kit and it's so cool. And he was actually a really cool guy and was like, if you ever want to come see my band, let me know. I'll put you on the guest list. And
awesome.
So it's cool. I will always have, I have a drum set in my apartment right now. It's not set up, but it's my furniture.
You just know that it's there.
Yeah.
It's comforting to you.
So I will always have a special place in my heart for drums, and I will play again, but we'll see.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait till I see your next band.
ABBA cover band.
Well, brother, thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it a lot. This has been great.
Yeah.
So, do you want to say anything? Any parting words?
No, this is great. Party. This is great to be back here again. This is great.
Yeah. Time 2 for you.
Yeah.
And we'll find another way to do this.
Yeah.
Over crazy bread.
Over crazy bread.
Yeah. Always a good time.
Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Well, there it is, the return of I've Known You Too Long. I think it went pretty well. I hope you agree. Couple corrections that I need to make. I think I make this first correction in the show, but I did it more than once, so this is a horrible mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. My head was weird. A couple times, I refer to the band Hateful Youth as Hated Youth, and that makes no sense. We cleared it up in the episode, but I should be better than that. Come on, that was Ron's band. I've put pictures of them up on the episode pages before. Like, I write it all the time. People reference them. So, yeah, that should have been done right. And it wasn't, so I'm fessing up. The other thing is, when we're talking about the cult, I said I remember getting mixed results. And what I meant to say was I remember getting mixed reviews. At the time, the shows with Metallica that we're talking about, I remember a lot of people saying that they were terrible on stage at those shows. However, those could have been Metallica fans that just didn't like the cult. So who knows? But the point is, it's mixed reviews, not mixed results. I'm stupid, sometimes, whatever. Okay, well, I guess that's it. We're back. Tell people about the show. Let people know about it. Hey, if you would go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review, talk about if you like it, the stuff that you do to spread the word, that would be really, really helpful. That keeps us, that helps us get discovered. And the more people listen to the show, I'll have, more reason to do it. All right. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up. More features coming to nobodysnose.com. I think we're going to start having a column on there from a guy named Doug Lawless. Some of you might follow him on Twitter. He hasn't been all that active, but he's beginning to want to say some stuff, kind of inspired by the current political climate. As I'm recording this, we're 3 weeks away from the election, and Doug wants to talk about it. All right, until next time, thanks.
This podcast is a product of the Nobody's Knows Podcast Network. Executive producers David R. Larson and K. Drake Streetman. Music for this episode provided by Polymorph from the record Artifacts, Demos, and Debris.